Yes, guys, welcome, Harry, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to another Liverpool show. Big up to everyone if they're in right now. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. Hit the subscribe button if you're new around here as well. And welcome to a 6 p.m. show. Hope everyone's doing well. Big up to everyone in the house. I hope you're all doing good. Hope you had a great weekend as well, guys. Hope you had a great weekend. Well, the World Cup is officially over, guys. What a World Cup it was as well. A great tournament. Argentina winning the World Cup, Messi winning the World Cup. Everything's right with the world. And now we're back with Liverpool content. The season gets back underway very, very soon. We're not far away now. Premier League action returns on Boxing Day. Less than a week away now, guys. Less than a week away to the return of the Premier League. And obviously, we got Carabao Cup games this week. I think there's some today, tomorrow, and Thursday, being Liverpool versus Manchester City. World Cup finishes, English football restarts straight away. And I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it. So, guys, what we're going to basically be talking about today, we're going to be talking about why does the Liverpool fan base hate on Harvey Elliot so much? Now, I'm going to be talking about this in depth because I'm not sure why there is such a thing against Harvey Elliott. I don't get it, but we're going to try and break it down today, guys. We're going to try and break that down today, and I'll try and answer that question. Why Harvey Elliott? Harvey Elliott is not really rated or liked by a lot of the Liverpool fan base. Also, we look at FSG. FSG looking like they're putting a price on the club around the 3.5 billion US dollar. That is what they want for Liverpool Football Club. So we'll be looking at that. Who can actually afford to buy Liverpool? Will they even sell? And does it stop January transfers happening? And then we're going to talk about January transfers, guys. We're going to be talking about January transfers today as well. Who do we need and where do we need it? Because with the issue in the forward line at the moment, we've only got 3 fit forwards. We literally only got 3 fit forwards: Darwin Núñez, Bobby Firmino, and Mo Salah. That is all we got right now. Do we actually need in January to buy a forward over a midfielder? That is the question we're going to be asking like later on as well, guys. Do we actually need to buy a forward over a midfielder, guys? That is what I'm going to ask later on in the show, guys, this January. What we're looking at. So there are your 3 topics today, guys. Harvey Elliott, first topic we're going to talk about today. Second topic, FSG. Will they sell the club for the reported 3.5 billion US dollar that they want for the football club? And then we're going to talk transfers at the end, guys. Big up to everyone in the house as well. Hope you're all doing well. And so let's get started on the show, guys. But first, before we get started on the show, let's just chat to everyone in the chat. Big up Francis in the chat. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Big up Wayne. Big up Panoff in the chat 6 times. Edward. Big up my friend. Can't wait for the new signs like Oxnevy. Jones and Ramsey's a step up. Big up to you. I see your sarcasm there. Big up the so Oswald, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Big up Stephen as well. Big up Wayne again. Morning to you, my friend. Big up Egyptian King in the house. Leverson, how you doing? Indian Scouser in the house as well. How you doing, my friend? Big up Ravi as well. I hope someone bids 3.5 billion for Liverpool soon, says Francis. Big up for you. Big up Panoff, Yo King. How you, bro? He says. Big up Bailey. How you doing, my boy? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, get them likes up, as he says. Get them likes up. Romel in the house. FSG out. Nice and simple. Big up to you. Big up Ant. Big up Kev. How you doing, my friend? Come on, Jamie, you can buy Liverpool easy. Could you imagine? We need a miracle in January. Elliott's a good player, but not a generational talent. That is all. Big up the Captain Sal. Big up Bailey. Panoff. All the guys in the chat. Hope you're all doing well. We don't need a forward because Klopp will play Ox, Jones, and Elliott up front. That's something we can talk about. Nadir in the chat as well. Big up to you, my friend. A Merry Christmas to you. A Merry Christmas to everyone in the chat as well. Big up to Pablo. Been a while, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Big up to everyone in the chat. A Merry Christmas to everyone as well. If you celebrate the holiday, big up to all of you. Guys, Harvey Elliott. I want to talk about Harvey Elliott because I've been watching some Liverpool YouTube channels. I've been listening to people on Twitter. A lot of people that talk about Harvey Elliott are not big into him. Big up ends. Yeah, ends are going to join as soon as he gets home. Big up ends. And so a lot of people don't rate Harvey Elliott. I go on a lot of YouTube channels. A lot of people talking about Harvey Elliott. You know, he's not the player Liverpool need. And look, I understand the people that have an issue with Harvey Elliott. Look, he's 19 years old. I think, is he that good? Is he the player that's going to take him to the next state? Big up, John. Links in the WhatsApp chat, my man. Is he going to take us to the next step? I get all these questions. Yeah, I get all these questions. Right. First, when I look at Harvey Elliott, right? When I look at Harvey Elliott, he is a forward-thinking player who probably prefers to play as a number 10 or on the wing in a more an attacking role. More in an attacking role. That's where I think Harvey Elliott should probably be playing. But at this moment in time, he's playing more of a central midfield role, that number 8. But he does have a bit more freedom in that number 8 role than a lot of our midfielders usually do. Klopp trusts him. This is one of the things. Now, when I've said this before in other YouTube channels or spoke to anyone on this channel about Harvey Elliott, when I say Klopp trusts him, Klopp plays him, Klopp starts him, what the most responses I get is that, yeah, it's because we haven't got any players that can really play. So Klopp has got no choice to play Harvey Elliott. But is that really the case? Is that really the case we're looking at with Harvey Elliott? Being that we have no one else, so Klopp's got no choice, so he has to play Harvey. Is that where we are? Because I don't know if that is actually the case. You know, I will big up John. I think the more of the case is that Harvey Elliott is actually a good footballer, but for some reason, I don't think a lot of Liverpool fans think he's a good footballer, or I don't get it. I really don't get it. I look at it this season. Yeah, a lot of people. The stats thing for football now is a big thing. You know, the stats stuff is a big thing for football now. You know, what I didn't watch him play, but I looked at his stats and it weren't really anything special. So obviously he weren't that good. This is the problem we have with football these days. Yeah, not a lot of people sit down and watch a 90-minute game of football anymore. Really don't. A lot of people just absorb their football in like 5 or 10-minute clips in highlights. You know, not a lot of people sit down and actually watch a 90-minute game anymore. This is the issue. So when you get players that they might not be watching and they go on social media or they go online and go on all the different kind of football apps and have a look and, oh, what did Harvey rate? He got a 7 out of 10, but, you know, his stats for that, you know, don't really add up. So what did he really do? And then that kind of goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on, yeah? And it can be a bit of a nonsense. Yeah. I don't think with Harvey, look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend Harvey is an exceptional footballer or anything like that, and the pinnacle of all young talent in British football. And I'm not going to talk nonsense here. I'm not going to talk nonsense. I'm not even going to stick up for him or anything like this. I'm just going to give you my views on Harvey Elliott. My views on Harvey Elliott is I don't think he's a natural midfielder. Yeah. I don't think he's a natural midfielder. And when you're not a natural midfielder, you're learning a role. Yeah. You're learning a role. But I look at a lot of players that get played in positions that sometimes don't suit them. But with Harvey, more of, I would say, a number 10 or like a right winger. Yeah. You'd probably play him in the wide areas. Yeah. But he's been our best midfielder this season. I would go along and say he's been our best midfielder this season. I think he's outperformed Fabinho. He's outperformed Thiago this season. He's outperformed Henderson. He's outperformed everyone in our midfield this season. Yes, our midfield's completely depleted, and there's players Klopp don't trust either at the same time. But he has been our best midfielder. So if you're telling me, I think he probably is playing out of position a little bit. I agree with everyone who says that. So if he is playing out of position a little bit, right, and he is actually doing a pretty decent job in midfield, that tells me he does have technical ability. You know, he does have technical ability. Now I'm looking at Carvalho, yeah? Carvalho and Elliott are the same age. They came through together. Carvalho is a number 10, an out and out number 10, yeah? We don't play at this moment in time anyway. We don't play with a number 10. We don't play with a number 10, right? That's not the way we play. We play 4-3-3 and a flat 3, yeah? You could play a 4-3-3 with an advancing 10, but we don't play that way. We play with a flat 3, yeah? Basically like 3 defensive midfielders. That's how we play. Carvalho can't seem to play in any other position. Klopp's tried him out on the left. He's tried him out on the right. He's tried him in certain positions, yeah? But with Harvey, who everyone tells me is more of a forward player, we put him in central midfield and he does shine. So, are we giving Harvey enough credit for actually his technical ability to be able to play in a position that everyone says he shouldn't be playing in, but he's actually shining in that position? And while I let everyone think about that, let me introduce Savage to the chat. How you doing,
Big up,
Savage?
bro. You saying, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. So we're basically just topics today. We're talking about Harvey Elliott first because I want to get to the root of why the fan base are a bit against him. I see a lot of I don't understand it, and then we're going to talk about so FSG apparently want 3.5 billion. We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about in January, do we actually need a forward more in a midfielder this January? So yeah, they're the 3 topics today. We're starting with Harvey. I was just talking there about Harvey saying that I agree. I don't think he's a natural midfielder. He's a forward, more thinking footballer.
Yeah.
He's more of a winger, can play in that 10 area, more of an attacking role. But with players that are not playing in their right position, he's been moved into a central midfield position, that number 8 at the moment.
Yeah.
A lot of people get on him, yeah, because he's not a stats man. He's not showing you goals and assists and all that. Although he's got 2 Champions League goals this season.
Yeah.
He's not showing you assists and goals. And so people, in my opinion, I don't think a lot of people watch 90-minute football matches anymore. I think they watch 10-minute highlights of football games now. Yeah. So when you watch 10-minute highlights of football games, the people in charge of putting them highlights on TV only want to show you the 10 bits of football.
Yeah.
You know, the highlights of the matches. So you're not going to get your proper look at players. So when people look at that and go, oh, Harvey got a 7 out of 10, everyone gave him a 6, 7 out of 10, let's look at his stats. His stats weren't much. That goes on social media. What does Harvey actually do? That goes on, grows and grows and grows and grows, and everyone keeps talking about it. But what I've witnessed this season, for me, he's been our best midfielder. He's outshown Thiago, he's outshone Hendo, right? And he's probably not a natural midfielder. So for me, doesn't that show that he has actually got very good technical ability?
I agree with you, to be honest. I think people do get into that zone of just copying like narratives what someone's already put out there, because I've seen that a few times in comment sections, and it doesn't feel very original. Like I always see the same comment is like, what does Harvey actually do in those exact words? And I'm like, bro, there's no way you've watched the Liverpool match and not realize what he does, considering just take this season alone. We can all agree that Liverpool's been pretty bad, and if he's been our best midfielder, then I don't understand where this comes from, bro. I don't know if it's because people who were pretending that they watched him before he got to Liverpool have now realized that you had your expectations way higher. Because if you watched him when he was on loan, he was bro. I don't understand why people do this about him, and I agree with you. I think he does have qualities in the midfield. I think Harvey's biggest weakness to me is the fact that he's not the best at like covering Trent yet. But we're not, and I say Trent because he plays at right back, not because it's Trent. Just if anyone was right back, he ain't the best at like getting stuck into those kind of tackles. I've seen a few times where he's pressed well and nibbled at somebody and that, but anytime he plays on the pitch and we've had like a bad game, and when it's down Trent's side and stuff, it's not that it's his fault, but you can see that he doesn't seem to offer much help to Trent at that point. But everything else, I think he's great at. I think he's great at getting attacks started. I think it's great carrying the ball. I think this thing I don't know. I would love to know how fast everybody else is in the world, because this thing where they keep saying Harvey's not fast. I mean, I don't get it, brother. Like, do you mean he's not rapid, or do you mean he's slow? Because he's not slow.
No, Fabinho's slow.
Yeah, he's not Zaha and them as a winger, but he's not slow, bro. Like, I would ask, do people think that there's a problem with the pace that Mahrez runs at, because he play in the same position sometimes, and Mahrez ain't that fast, bro. But he's fast, but he's not that fast, and he carries the ball very similar. And I think, I think that personally, he's done great to play in that midfield role. There's some games where he's really shone in that midfield role, but I actually think, you know how we've always been saying for like years now that we still haven't got somebody on the Salah side, the right wing, to play in that position if Salah comes off. I actually think it's supposed to be. I think it's Harvey, bro. I'm not joking. Like, when the game, what showed me that was the last 2 games of last season. We were trying to win the league. I remember, because me and you spoke about it after. It was the Southampton game, the one when it was Redmond scored like a goal, it was deflected on it, but him and Minamino played on that side, and we both said that, like, not obviously he's not better than Salah, but what he offers down that wing is completely different. Like, if anyone thinks as a Liverpool fan, the left side we have Robbo overlapping, or we have Diaz overlapping, or we have Diaz cutting inside, or you have Robbo cutting inside and somebody getting involved. On the right-hand side, that doesn't happen. We have nobody overlapping. We have no crosses coming from the byline. Every one of Trent's crosses come from the edge of the box to that side, and never from the corner flag. Salah never crosses the ball in from the corner flag. But as soon as Harvey played in that game, him and Minamino, those crosses coming from that position, he offers something different. And I think, depending on what midfielders come in, if we get them and his age, clearly we're not going to get somebody who's less talented than him or not as good as him in a certain position. So he's probably going to be on the bench more than likely. But then I think you've got 2 roles for him to put in. If you need to change the attacking midfielder at a certain place, you put him in. And if not, you put him on the right-hand side. Because let's be honest, bro, Salah doesn't always need to play, and he doesn't always need to finish every... No, he always needs to play, but he doesn't always need to finish every game. And sometimes, tactically, if you want to move Salah into the centre, put him on the right, it offers some more quality. I don't understand the hate for Harvey, bro. Like, people went from raving on about him before he got injured against Leeds, and now you don't like him. I don't get it, bro.
No, I don't get it. I agree with everything you said there. I don't get it either. I mean, look, Stephen, let me know what you like. He says Blackburn is his level. So, Stephen, let me know in the chat, my man. Write out in the chat. You can write him out as much as you need to, my man. But let me know what you mean by that, and I'll read it out. Because I'm interested to know what everyone thinks, why they think he's that level. Because what I see is a decent footballer, man. And Jurgen Klopp's the one who rates him. It don't matter what we all think at the end of the day. Jurgen Klopp rates Harvey Elliott, and we've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
I've never seen our manager cry when a player got injured before.
Yeah.
Elliott, when Elliott got injured, Klopp had tears in his eyes, man, and his voice got all croaky. He rates Harvey. Yeah. When we had everyone fit, by the way, and Harvey came back from his injury, he played him straight away.
Yeah.
And then Klopp realised he weren't ready, and he left him out for the rest of the season, didn't he? For this, he left him out on purpose, so he was ready for this season. Klopp thinks massive of him. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, this is my thing, people will say that, oh, Klopp's only playing him because he's got no one else, right? I don't believe this narrative a lot. I really don't. I just think Klopp likes him. It's the same thing with James Milner. People think Milner only plays because we got no one else in certain positions. I've always said it. I think Klopp just likes Milner.
I don't think there's anyone in Liverpool's team that he trusts more than Milner.
Yeah, Milner played right back when we now have a right back. You know, in the friendly. I know it might be just a friendly, but I know a lot of people, when that Dubai game against AC Milan were happening, a lot of people were questioning what's I can't remember his name now. It's gone up my head.
Who?
Our right back now.
You Trent?
No, Scottish geezer.
Oh, Ramsey.
Yeah, Ramsey. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, Ramsey didn't play, did he? He didn't start.
No.
And Milner started, and everyone was like, "It's a friendly. Why is Milner starting at right back?" Because he still trusts him.
What game was that for?
It was the Dubai game against Milan, wasn't it?
Oh no, he had a knock before the game though as well.
Oh, did he have a knock?
Yeah, they said it just before the game started.
Uh-huh.
But to be fair, Milner would have had a half
I
in that
think
game.
I think he would still played anyway.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
He just rates Milner. He rates Elliott.
Mm.
Now, I think if people don't like it, maybe we've got to, people got to start talking about Jurgen. Maybe if that's the case. But at the end of the day, if he rates Harvey Elliott, and we class Jurgen Klopp as one of the best top 5 managers in world football, then surely he can't be that wrong.
But the weirdest thing is when people do this, like, this won't work at Liverpool. I'm like, but we're trying to evolve in the way we play football, and he's part of that evolution. That's why he's so damn young. Same with Carvalho. Like these are all younger players, bro. There's an evolution of what's going to happen in Liverpool. We're clearly not going to play the same all the time. Sometimes even if a formation stays the same, doesn't mean that tactically you can't play a little bit different. Because people said the same thing about Nunes, and then 2 weeks later, everyone was happy about him. It's like, Nunes ain't going to work at Liverpool because, and then they started bringing up Mane, and I'm like, well, Mane wasn't working on the left wing towards the end. That's why he went into the centre. So clearly, evolution at Liverpool does work, because when Mane wasn't working on the left, he got replaced with Diaz, and then Jota got injured, and Mane had one game there, and then Klopp carried on playing him there. And if he didn't leave, he would have still been playing number 9 now. He wouldn't be on the wing again because couldn't do it anymore. So things do shape.
Yeah, exactly. But I think we dismiss his big up Tom. I think we dismiss Elliott's technical ability. I think we just ignore it because, as everyone's telling me, he's a winger or an attacking player.
Yeah.
And we've put him in the central midfield area where in games he looks good.
Yeah.
And he's part of that midfield, yeah?
Yeah.
And he was part of that midfield last season as well. It's just because of his injury. He had a terrible injury, an awful injury. I think people forget that as well. I mean, that injury came back far. He probably came back too quick from it because he was young. So he came back from it probably too quick, got in the action again straight away.
Yeah.
And then, weren't quite ready. But his technical ability I bring up Carvalho as well because they're the same age, and they played about.
Give me 1 second, Jay.
Yeah, no way. And they played about the same amount of competitive football each. Carvalho had a whole year at Fulham in the number 10 role, playing against grown men in a proper competitive league. And he can't play in the position he probably wants to play in because we don't play that way. So they're trying to find a position for him. So they're putting him at left wing or something like that. Left wing, central midfield. I remember when everyone shouted out for a central midfielder, Fabinho, Carvalho, and Harvey Elliott, when he changed it out completely, and it just didn't work because Carvalho weren't strong enough in that area. So we all rate Carvalho, but technically he's pleasing on the eye, but is he as adaptable as Harvey Elliott? That's the thing. Harvey Elliott can play central midfield. People might not like it, but he can play central midfield, and he's obviously better in his more natural position, or probably being a wide forward.
Yeah.
But he's adaptable, and he gives you a performance in that area.
Yeah.
Carvalho's not adaptable. He looks to me like he only can play in one position.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like this number 10 narrative, what people keep doing here. Like, I just think that football's changing completely anyway. So even if you think this ain't going to work for Liverpool, like it's not going to work for any team because the number 10's it's going away now. Like you just go watch Leicester. Remember, Maddison's the guy that you'd think of number 10 straight away, isn't it? Bro, Leicester's not even playing him there anymore because no one's doing the number 10 thing in him. It's going to move on, so people will have to.
He plays on a wide there. He plays 4-4-2,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's more fluid now. So whoever's in the number 10 role tends to play on the wing, and then they come inside and that. But Arsenal, what I will say for the Carvalho and Elliott thing,
are Arsenal the only club playing number 10 in Odegaard?
Yeah, and he's not even really a number 10.
But he's the most
because he played. Because him and Xhaka pretty much play the same position, and then Partey's sitting behind them.
Yeah,
it's just that they give him the free role, kind of like what De Bruyne has, where he's not a number 10. He's just everything. They let him go. That's why Arsenal's always worried about Partey being injured because the protection for Odegaard's not there, and he has to work harder. But it's just like it's becoming a thing that's not being used as much in football anymore. And I really don't understand where it's all right with everyone not thinking they're the flavour of the month yet. or saying they still need to progress on that. But when everyone's hard on them, I'm like, bro, one, they're not been at the club that long anyway. They've got time to grow as humans and footballers anyway. And a big reason for them playing, well, not even Carvalho, because Klopp's probably doing what's right with Carvalho at the moment. But like a big reason why some people play is because we don't have the depth in the squad right now. As soon as there's a depth in the squad, it changes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because then the best will play, and then the other ones have to fight more. Because I don't agree with that comment. Like no pace, no physical. It's not true, bro.
It depends what people think on pace is.
The thing is, if everything what he said in that comment's true, then that means he's not a footballer, bro. Because that's just basically every attribute a footballer should have. So
am I the only one who watches it and never sees Harvey give away the ball much in midfield?
Yeah, he normally retains it, and if he can't do anything advance forward with it, he'll pass it to somebody and then carry on.
But ain't that what we want to do? Isn't that what everyone wants our midfield to do? See, I think everyone's got the problem is everyone's got this thing in their vision that Liverpool go sign this player, that player, that player, and that player, right? Everyone's like, oh, we should go and buy Kone and Bellingham and Enzo and I have all these players in. But at the end of the day, does Jurgen Klopp want these players? This is what everyone keeps forgetting, right? Everyone wants these players in, but who does Jurgen want? Does he want all these players? Is it? I think he wants Jude Bellingham. I think that's the obvious one he wants. Now, the comparisons between Jude Bellingham and Harvey Elliot, because they're the same age, I get it, right? But there's a few 19-year-olds in the whole world of football who are just freaks. Yeah? They're just freaks. That don't mean the rest of the 19-year-olds are shit.
Exactly.
This is a narrative we've got to get our minds out of. Bellingham is outrageous for his age. Yeah? He's very mature. He looks physically older, and he plays like he's older as well. He plays with a lot of maturity, speaks with a lot of maturity. Pedro and Gavi, I can't really say so much because I haven't watched them at Barcelona a lot, so I can't be saying. But what I saw of them at the World Cup, Gavi looks a bit more of an industrious midfielder, and Pedri looks like the classy, composed one on the ball. Totally different kind of midfielders. But I wouldn't say they've got amazing pace or amazing strength, because 19-year-old boys are not going to be amazingly strong at that age. That will grow physically as they grow. What is it? Men don't really stop growing till you're 24, really. So
yeah, bro.
He's physically can get stronger yet. And as I said, I think everyone's looking at Pedri, Gavi, what's the German geezer? Musiala and Bellingham, yeah? Four 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, yeah, right? Right, they can be incredible. If they're the only 4 19-year-olds in world football that are really top,
I know what you're going to say.
Good in world football, that doesn't mean Harvey Elliott's shit at the same time.
Exactly.
Because 19-year-olds shouldn't really be that good.
That's why every time somebody says, everyone always tries to use like Foden for Man City, and I'm like, well, if you hear the way everyone speaks about him, then clearly this geezer's like a special talent, and it's nothing to do with all the other 19-year-olds being shit. And everyone grows at different paces. It's not like all the 19-year-olds are supposed to be like at the same level. I mean, the chances are, if you've got, like you just said, if you've got 4 19-year-olds who are great and 190-year-olds who are just good, but then clearly you can see what's going on there, and there's 4 that have got ultra talent, and the rest are kind of at the level they're supposed to be. So it doesn't make much sense to me. I don't know. I think, like I said, it's opinions and that. But I do feel like the people always throw the same things out all the time, and then they're like, oh well, no physicality, blah 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 week, and I'm like, championships. I'm like, bro, clearly no one's watched the championship before, isn't it? Because the thing's physical as shit, bro. And you're saying that's where they thrive the most, and that then it ain't a physicality thing, bro. It's just figuring it out, man. I mean, at the moment, Liverpool's not very good. So if you're expecting these lot to outshine throughout all of these guys like Van Dijk and Salah and all that stuff, then you're a bit deluded yourself, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like how many stars do we have that how many stars do we have that will go at 19, let alone great?
Exactly.
I mean, he like unless Klopp changes his style of play, he won't shine. Same with Fabio. He's not shit. He just don't suit the centre mid in our system. Says 6 times. Now, I mean, look. I'm not sure about that so much. I know everyone says the covering Trent scenario, yeah, right.
Mm.
And I've brought this up many times. I look for England in the World Cup, right? Mason Mount started for England, yeah, right, and he's more of a number 10. Mason Mount's not really. I know Mason Mount says he wants to play number 8. That's where he feels natural, but he's more of that number 10 midfielder, right?
Yeah.
So he played in the midfield 3, yeah. The reason he come out of the team is because Henderson covers the fullbacks better, right?
Mm-hmm.
He does it excellently, yeah. There was a lot, by the way. Henderson does it really well. Rabiot for France, right? The game he didn't play against Morocco exposed that left-hand side that Mbappe played down, yeah? Completely exposed it, right?
Yeah.
The next game, obviously, Rabiot comes in the final, not so exposed because, he's covering all the time. Do the French fans go, we don't want Rabiot in the team? Because he doesn't give us enough. And I think Rabiot and Henderson are pretty similar as footballers. I'm going to be really serious now. So, but we praise Rabiot. But when Hendo does it, we just slag him off, right? Now, is there come to a time now where we got to stop covering Trent and just using that as an excuse all the time? Because if we want Trent to be this player we want him to be, then we got to stop making excuses for him. It's as simple as that. And let Trent play the natural game. If Trent wants to get forward, Harvey will. I've seen Harvey get back and cover Trent.
He always runs back.
I've always seen that. I've actually seen pictures. I remember watching some of the games where Harvey is actually running back quicker than Trent is into a right back position. So are we going to live with that excuse that we can't play a midfielder in that number 8 position on the right-hand side of a 3 because they don't cover Trent? So is Bellingham automatically going to cover Trent? Is that what we're saying? Is Bellingham
if I go with the honest truth, bro, I literally think it's because there's too many things going wrong at Liverpool at the same time. So, of course, other people are going to look bad in what they're doing as well. Because if you're talking about no pace, it's like Fabinho has no pace. He's not very fast at all, is it? And that's part of the defensive unit when teams are attacking us, bro. So if that's happening, Hendo's getting older, and he's not always playing. Then of course, man. Listen, Liverpool just look bad. That's the main thing. Liverpool just look bad. And I don't know. For me, I've watched it with my eyes in it, and everyone's got different perspectives on that. But Harvey's been probably the best midfielder all season. And yeah, if you're gonna have to name somebody otherwise, then I don't think everyone can, bro. Because Thiago's been injured most of the time, so yeah, that's kind of what it is. Big up, Kev.
Yeah, okay. Hi guys.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. You both okay?
Yeah, man.
Not bad, man. Not
good,
bad.
Good.
Just talking Harvey Elliot first. Basically.
Okay.
So, watching some YouTube videos yesterday, Liverpool YouTube videos, watching some for the last few weeks, people talking about Harvey online. There's a real, not people in the chat, most of the people in the chat actually really rate Harvey. They're just like saying he might not suit our system and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't really like Harvey. I've seen a lot of it, The plastic Liverpool fan I've been arguing with on Twitter for the last week or so that just comes out against Harvey all the time. We can't compete against City and Real Madrid with Harvey Elliott. I mean, somehow we did last season, but you can't compete with them. And there was a comment here somewhere. Angel, big up to you, Angel. No one's saying Elliott's shit, but we're competing with Real and City. He ain't ready, right? Who said we're competing with City and Real?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying we're not. By the way, before anyone comes at me, I am not saying we're not competing with them. I'm just saying, does our club, with the money we spend financially and the wages we spend, Are we competing with City and Real Madrid?
No, financially, there's not even close.
Yeah, on the football pitch, we have been in recent years because obviously we've been challenging for the title and we've, made Champions League finals. But really, we shouldn't be in terms of what we spend and all of the things off the pitch. Just the brilliance on it has meant that we have, Do
you think people are? Do you think people are a little bit like? I ain't trying to take the piss on that, but I feel like when I hear Liverpool fans talk, especially this season, and then start talking about, I think everyone's a bit deluded about what we were. So when they're talking about all this midfield stuff for Harvey and that, I'm like, bro, just go and name the midfield what won the league and the Champions League, bro. And I don't know what you want from him. Because if you're gonna start talking about all these goals and that, well, I went through this before, bro. Like the most goals was like 5 from the midfield from a midfielder all season. I remember saying to Cav before that I went through the list and I said, if all of these people had 3 extra goals, 4 extra goals to the midfield role, you probably can win a league title because we was only 1 point behind. As long as it's an important goal. I think what was Fab's best season, 6 or 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
And 3 of them were in the FA Cup and 2 of them were penalties, bro. So I don't understand what you're judging Harvey against, because what you've got in the past to judge him against is Wijnaldum, Henderson, Fab. Like who? But what are you judging him against? What did they do in terms of output? You lot can tell me that and tell me Harvey's not living up to it. Then fair enough, bro. But I don't think you can. So it's a bit weird to me.
When we talk about like competing with these guys, and then Elliott's brought into the conversation, you're pointing the finger at the wrong guy.
Exactly.
You're trying to have an argument about, how we should improve the team and where we need to improve to take that, small extra step to win the title and to win the Champions League ahead of these named clubs. But Elliott's not the guy you should be conversating about.
Yep.
He's going about his business and he's doing very, very well for Liverpool at this moment in time. Better than you can expect from a guy his age. The reason that we're not competing with these teams is because of the other guys.
Yeah, I was going to say that, Cav. You think sometimes as well, like when they keep talking about he's not ready, blah, I'm like, bro, there's loads of people ain't ready yet, but we just have loads of injuries all the time, innit? Like sometimes, even when they're about to be in Klopp, I'm like, what do you expect him to do? Like, where do you expect him to play? This guy's like, I don't want Nunes playing on the left-hand side, but I understand that Diaz is injured. It's the best next. You have to use the next best person on that side, isn't it? So there's no point in everyone getting mad at Klopp. He's an idiot playing him. I'm like, no, he knows that Firmino can play through the centre. He definitely knows Firmino ain't going to play off the left, so you play Nunes off the left. When everyone's fit, is the time to judge these guys properly. If Nunes is shit when everyone's fit, he's shit. If Harvey's shit when everyone's fit, he's shit. Same with Carvalho. But I just haven't seen it, and I keep toying with these things, and I probably have to do some more research. But they'll keep dissing Liverpool's academy, and it's like, how many people have you seen come from Liverpool in the last however long? And I'm like, that's all right thinking that until you compare it with the other academies, and then go and tell me about the rest of the teams. Because if you're going to say Man City, you're just going to tell me about Foden, and then you're going to go, they've got Cole Palmer on the bench. Okay, that's all right. And then tell me who Man U's, who? Rashford. No disrespect, but where's Lingard, bro? Is that not Ingham, innit? So...
and he's 20s, and he's in his late 20s.
I think Lingard's like 30. I think Lingard's like 31 there as well. But yeah, I've got the midfield here that won the Premier League. So this is the midfield that won the Premier League, our last Premier League, yeah? So Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Milner, Keita, Hendo, Ox, Adam Lallana, Shaqiri, Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott.
But Elliott was out injured for a large part.
He only played 8 games.
Shaqiri hardly any games. And even when it says a high amount of games, he was off the bench. Lallana hardly any games. Milner does Milner stuff. Naby's always injured and Ox is always injured. So it's basically the same thing, what we've got now.
Yeah, what you got to highlight as well is that league winning season was quite unique because the majority of that first team did stay fit.
Stayed fit.
Like, yeah, it's one of the few times they did. Yeah, they did. And then they played like week in, week out, virtually the same 11. And they built confidence and they built momentum. And then said it before, how many games did we win by a goal? Like, we managed to build that kind of togetherness, and that when we had to like defend, we did it as a team, and that comes through just consistency, playing together. That's not what we're able to build at the minute because the guys are just always out injured. Like, I do feel for Klopp and the coaching team. Like this season, So many guys have let them down, like just through not being available. Like, how are they ever meant to build like consistency and like, you know, form when the team's constantly changing, all like from game to game?
Yeah. I mean, you run a business, you run loads of guys and that, bro. And imagine everyone just got like every time a new guy comes in, the guys who are the senior guys, 4 of them are off sick, bro. And you expect this new guy to know everything, bro. All right. It's crazy.
Exactly. The thing is, that's why it's unfair to speak about Elliott, because not only has he come in, like we should be praising him for staying fit and like actually being a body there, but he's done more than that. You know, a lot of people said he's been our best midfielder, you know, and like in terms of what he brings to the game, you know, he receives the ball well, is confident, he passes. He's kind of the man that is part of the build-up without being the guy that makes the final pass and stuff.
That's it's facts, bro.
And he also, a lot of people say, oh yeah, but you know, players on that right side can't cover quite as well as Henderson and stuff. But I see this guy running his socks off. Like
Jamie said. That's true.
Is that what you said?
Is what Jamie just said?
He plays with so much heart, mainly because he's a Liverpool fan. And look, whether he could put that in across an entire season, he might break down at some point. And I could understand the argument where he's saying, look, you're probably overworking him and stuff, because that much is probably true. But at this moment in time, you should be criticizing him about these things, because I think he's been brilliant. And look, we're taking shots at a guy that's been not carrying us, but, you know, to an extent, carrying that midfield.
Have you guys, honestly though, do you remember ever finishing the Liverpool game and when we've lost or we've drawn? Because we're not used to losing, let's be honest, bro. Draws is a Liverpool thing, but I don't remember. I mean this as well, not because of this argument. I don't remember one game I came off and I was like, fuck's sake, Elliott, man. That's why we lost the game, because I've said that about loads of other people, bro. That just weren't on it. I've never said that about Elliott, bro. And every time someone tries to bring up an Elliott game from the past, they always bring up the same AC Milan game. I'm like, bro, the one game after you come back from injury, bro, at the San Siro. Okay. All right. What do you want him to do, bro? He's trying his best, man. Like, it's weird, bro. It's weird. I don't understand it myself, bro. But
it's a great point. A lot of the games that we've lost this season, people are pointing the fingers at Virgil. Yeah. You know, people are pointing the fingers at, you know, where was Salah? You know, the big boys, you know, the most important guys in the team. And you're dead right. I mean, I shouldn't speak for everybody else, but definitely, you know, I've never looked at a game and gone, Elliott there.
For fuck's sake.
John, you're more active in the chat than you are on here, bro. Like, you're looking
yeah, and then after Cab's talking, so I'm listening to what Cab's saying, but McCann's not I'm literally down with a fucking flu.
Man, like John Biden and that, bro. Come on, 2024.
Down with a flu.
Flu flying around, man.
John's finalising Enzo and Bellingham deals.
I'm fucking telling you. Don't get me started on that one. Don't get me started on that one again.
How good do you think Elliott can become? What's his potential?
The best thing I'm trying to think of is a player from the past, and it
his potential. I don't, you know, his potential. It's hard to say with Harvey, because for me, I don't think central midfield is his natural position. But what my whole thing of this whole, what I'm saying with Harvey Elliott is that for a man who's not playing in his natural position in a Liverpool team, must have some good technical ability to actually perform quite well in that position he's not used to.
Yeah.
And as I said with Carvalho earlier, Carvalho looks like he can only play in one position. He doesn't look as adaptable as what Harvey is. But we all, when you talk about Harvey and Carvalho, right, when you get this conversation, debate going about it too, everyone will tell you how more technical Carvalho is.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, why can't he adapt to a position like Harvey can that don't suit him?
Yeah. I think
Foden was a central midfielder. Yeah. He's so good technically that Pep could put him in the forward line and Man City's forward line and shine because he's so good technically, yeah? And I'm not comparing the two at all because Foden is a far better footballer. But Harvey, I think we just don't give Harvey enough credit for being technically good enough to play in that midfield area, because he is. He doesn't go missing in games.
Yeah,
he outshines a lot of the other midfielders at times. I'm not saying he's perfect and he's great and he's the answer to everything and we should just keep Harvey there forever and all that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying what he's done so far for us in the Premier League, being a Liverpool player in that midfield area.
Big up, guys.
Big up. He's done fine. He's done fine. Do you know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. And I don't know what his potential is because, as I say, Cav, going forward, I don't know if I see him as a central midfielder for the rest of his career. So I can't say what his potential is going to be. But
I really think he's a right winger, bro.
Yeah, I think he's Salah's replacement if Salah
I think
that's what I think.
See,
we get midfielders in what are like a top class level right now within the next season and a half. Elliott will drop to the bench, but it won't be like being kicked out of the squad because Salah's the best in that position on it. But he will be the guy where he'll be playing behind Salah and he'll be still having all them cup games. And I don't know what's happened where we've given players time to grow anymore, bro. There's nothing wrong with that as well. But it's like
what do you think of Doak
on the bench? Like they're not good enough. Weird.
What do you think of Doak? I mean, do you think he can break into it? Because I mean, he plays in Salah's position. Been impressive.
Doak has all the ability to be.
That was a problem.
See, this guy Doak is outstanding. I rate him highly. And to be honest, I even said yesterday in Steve's show, I wouldn't even play Mo Salah against Man City in the cup. I'd play Doak.
I don't know about that, John.
Well, we'll get to the City stuff tomorrow.
I would leave Salah for the Premier League game. The league's more important.
He's doing the John Biden thing again, bro.
Joy Boydham.
John, I'll get you on the show tomorrow to the Man City chat. We'll do that tomorrow, but because I'll be interested to hear
you know what happened, innit, Jay? You bring him on tomorrow, start talking about Villa game, bro.
But look, Ben Doak's a very good talent. Dodgy haircut, but a very good talent. Personally, I think he should stay in the squad. I don't understand. It's not like we've got the players to pick from at the moment. So if he's got the talent and the ability, that's the one thing I will say. I don't think we let the youngsters shine enough. But I will say one thing, because everyone's comparing it to Arsenal, yeah? Saying like, oh, Arsenal got all their youngsters in now, they're thriving, yeah? The difference is, yeah, Arsenal have been shit for 7 years, right? And they've been like, how long they've been out of Champions League now? 4 years? Right? Yeah. And because of that, and they haven't spent the money, it's only last 2 seasons they have because of the ownership changed and all that, and the majority shareholder went to the Gronkies so they could spend, right? Before that, they decided to bring their youth up and play their youth and let their youth play because they were chasing something, yeah?
Agreed.
So you can afford to actually let your youth players come in and play every week because you're trying to achieve something because you're not there quite yet. And that's fine. The problem in Liverpool's problem at the moment is that, yeah, we're sixth at the moment. We're just trying to get fourth place this season. Fair enough. But we're still not in a position where we can just play all these youngsters, just put them in the team and let them play week in, week out. But what we can do, we haven't got the luxury at the moment of picking anyone. So I don't understand why Ben Doak shouldn't be in the squad.
Jay,
he doesn't have to play 5-10 minutes every year and there. He's fine.
While we're not involved in competing properly for a title, and you know, I mean, Champions League's a little bit different because I was back Liverpool in Champions League, competition in it. But I think when you're not competing tooth and nail with whoever's at the top of the table week in, week out, all the other like trophies that I still rate, but they become more important to your season because if I don't win the league, we need to win the League Cup and need to win the FA Cup, innit?
Yeah.
But if you asked everyone, would you take the League Cup, the Premier League over the other two? Everyone would say yeah. So when we're doing that, it's like, okay, Klopp can think then. It's like, listen, now I need to battle for this Premier League. The kids need to play in the League Cup. If you just go look back to when we won the league and won the Champions League and then look at the teams we played in the cup competitions, we were playing kids, bro. That's why we got smoked by Villa. We were playing kids. But they got a chance to have you know what I mean? When you're at the top, it's a little bit different. Now we're in this mid-ground where it's like trying to chase Champions League, but we should really be getting Champions League automatically anyway. But we need to like win a trophy on top of this because we're probably not going to win the league. It becomes different. I think your point about Arsenal was perfect. Anyone who says that about Arsenal, oh, look at their kids cooking now. Bro, We've had 4 years of them being shithouses, bruv, and being the banter club and losing against Ostersons and that on Channel 5 at 4:30, bruv. Like, what are you talking about? They had to come up. Remember, what happened was they had Emre, they had Lundberg, then they got Arteta, and he got fed up of some of the people in the main squad with their attitude problem. And then what all the fans are crying out for, and we probably would have if it was at Liverpool as well. Oh, these grown adults don't want out properly. Fuck it, play the kids then. And their kids came in and got cooked all the time until they learned on the job, bro. But
that's
we
why
can't
they've got to play games in the Premiership. Some of them. Yeah. Sorry, Savage. I know you're on with flight, man. That I think this is so important. Why people, if we're not going to invest deep or in certain positions, all right, you've got to give these youth such opportunity. People like Michael Owen came against Wimbledon, his debut and stuff like that. You know what I mean? All right, it was a Premier League, but he's got talent. Some of these players do have talent. They're just never going to reach it, and they need to get little games here and there. Like, look at Ramsey. He's getting. I think did he actually get a few minutes against Southampton or something like that? I think he did.
Yeah.
But you got to integrate these guys because these are good players. You know what I mean? Yeah. Especially if we're not going to invest deep.
I think that much of I know that how Ben Doak is 16 of it.
Yeah.
Just turned up.
Yeah, I think he just signed his first professional contract.
The way I watched him play in the youth setup is exactly how he played when he come on the pitch in the big man game, bro. I don't care about all this like waiting for him to rise, and I'm not the manager on it. And Klopp's a great man manager, so that's probably the reason why he holds people back in a certain stint. But he's one of them ones where like you might have to release this done and let him just go, bruv. Like just let him go 20 minutes at the end of all these, especially for winning a game, these Premier League games and that. Slap him on, bro. Salah, get off, bro. Rest your knees, bro. You know what I mean? And throw him on, bro.
Do you know what?
It's not because he's better than Elliott in terms of technical ability, but this guy is like that's his position, man. That's exactly his position. He's ready to go, and as you see, bro. He has zero fear against anybody he's playing against, bro.
That's
just
the
know
key.
that to get his head down and run. So yeah,
that's the key point. Like I was speaking to my mate earlier about this, and he was describing it. He was like, "Don't act like setting a firework off in your bathroom." He said, "What people do?
Yeah,
what do they do? They run. People run away, and
defenders hate pace."
Yeah, but do you know what it is though? Like we've all watched Liverpool games this season whereby we look so static and like void of ideas going forward, and I think a large part of it is it's because of like the inconsistencies in the team and not having regular players, being able to work together and build up patterns of play and all of these kind of things. But I think a large part of it as well is because so many of the players know the system so well, and they're just like trying to play it like the same pattern so often. Sometimes you do just need to throw a player in there that's a complete wild card, and he just drums, other ways of attacking up. Like if you throw Doak into a game, I'm not saying like from the off, but maybe like if you're struggling to break a team down, I know he's young, I know he's raw, but it's almost that fearlessness and that rawness that's good, because he can just run at people and try to create chaos, and then everybody else around him can kind of react to that. And if it can build like a bit of momentum, he might not create clear chances, he might have terrible end product, but just the chaosness of it all can kind of just get a bit of a spark into the team. And I feel like we could maybe utilize him in that respect. A bit like how we spoke about Nunes. Like a lot of people spoke about how bad he is technically. And like he's, takes the first time shot all the time. And maybe sometimes you should just take it down and build. But what we all appreciate is that without Nunes, there's no chaos. Like sometimes there's nothing happening in attack, and maybe we should look at Doak in the same respect. Like,
mate, Wayne Rooney was 16 when he broke into the Everton squad, and he just no one knew what to do with him, bro, because he was just bullying people head down, and he's just raw, bro.
Doak just reminds me of
Wayne Rooney, but he looks, bro. I love how raw he is, bro. Just throw him on the pitch, man.
Owen was the same. Owen was the same. Raw.
He is a spit of Owen.
Yeah,
literally a spit of Owen. And you know what I mean? When I look at him, I think, you know what? This guy could be an Owen. But is he going to get the chance to be an Owen? Remember, Owen won a Ballon d'Or.
Maybe this is what Liverpool are looking at. I know everyone keeps saying about, Liverpool are weak on Salah's side. We need to buy someone on Salah's side. And look, and the players they all mention is like, it ain't going to happen. All these players, like Diaby and stuff like that. I'm thinking, they ain't going to happen because they're not going to upset the apple cart. Salah is number one for a reason. He plays on that side. You never buy a Messi replacement. You never buy a Cristiano Ronaldo replacement just in case they get injured. right? It just never happens. Yeah, you have players who can be versatile and can play in that area if a certain player gets injured, because that's the way it works, right? And with Mo, look, I don't understand the Mo rotation thing either. It's not like he's dead, but
he's got to play, man.
If Mo ain't playing, no matter who you buy, the drop is going to be big anyway. No matter, because you're taking someone who scores almost 30 goals every single season, assists at least 8 to 10 goals every single season out of your team. The drop is going to be big no matter what, right? But if Liverpool in the back of their minds, if Klopp and his team are looking at him thinking, you know what, Harvey and Ben Doak in the next Doak. Is it Doak or Doak? Because they're just Doak.
Doak.
People pronounce it so many different ways, don't they?
No, you get that package in it, what they give to the commentators where the player says their own name.
And it's Doak, isn't it? So Ben Doak, and maybe they're looking at him thinking, no, Ben Doak and Harvey Elliott in the years to come, you know, especially this season and going into the next season, could be, you know, because Salah, unless Salah, cross fingers, touch wood, Salah never gets a massive injury that keeps him out for ages. You know, how many games is Salah actually going to miss?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
he does need an opportunity though to once in a while have his feet up.
Yeah, he can have a game off.
Replacement.
You look at the fixture list, you see what's coming, you go, right, Mo, you go have this game off. You'll go chill, we're going to play Harvey right wing for this game. It shouldn't affect us that badly. If it affects us that badly and we can't go on to win a football game, that's not Harvey's fault and it's not Mo's fault that he didn't play. That means the rest of the squad didn't pick up.
The problem is it's momentum as well. I mean, I get what you're saying and you're right. The problem is, you know, when you do, you know, let's just say like Ox is a Premiership proven player. I'm just bringing out a name. But when he does play after like, I don't know, playing 5-6 games he hasn't played, he's just rusty. And I think they need to find a way where they can integrate players in, you know, on a regular basis. And if you're playing well, you should be starting. Doesn't matter what kind of name you are. If you're a Hendo or if you're a Fabinho or whoever, do you know what I mean? If you're playing, you stay in the team. It's as simple as that.
Well, at the end of the day, no one thought Trent would be world class right back when we first threw him in the team, did they? And he's turned into one of the world's best right backs.
Exactly.
I just think
why not give this guy a chance? I get Savage says bring him on when we're winning the game, maybe for the last 15 minutes. Why not bring him on if we're struggling to find a goal?
No, John.
No.
Read my mind. I'm literally about to say that you're right. I was literally just going to say that you're right now, bro. I was just going to say there's games, not so much this season, because this season we've just been poor in different areas, isn't it? But the way it was last season, we was trying to go for the league, and that, you know, them low block games, bro, where it looks like it doesn't matter how good Salah is, he's not getting through this. It's not working. The ball keeps bobbling off his leg. It's so predictable when he cuts in on the left. That like you know that there's them teams in it, them Tarkowski and all them guys that they know he's gonna cut in. We love it. I'll just block it. If Henderson or Trent crosses it, I'll just header it away because I love this. This is what I breathe for. Them games is when you put Doak on and
run at them, bruvs.
They don't have a clue what you're gonna do.
Absolutely.
Me and Brad talked about it yesterday. I spoke to Jamie about this last season. That's why I said about like Traore and Wilfred Zaha and these kind of man, bruv, because nobody knows what Traore is going to do. He doesn't even know what he's going to do. You can't stop him. And like, Doak's not Traore, but if you look how like, it's that intense running every time. And I'm getting to the byline, and I said it to Jamie earlier that Salah doesn't go to the byline ever.
No.
Ever. He's not playing as a winger where he's trying to get to the byline and cross it into somebody. His like objective is cutting on my left foot. If I can shoot, I'll shoot. If I can't, 1-2 into the box. But when it's not going well and the low block doesn't allow you to do that because they're sitting so far back, you put these guys on, byline, cross, and Nunes is a big guy, bruv, and he's in the box, chilling. It's what happens on the left side of the pitch. Yeah. We have that with Robbo and Diaz. They do overlap all the time. Robbo always gets to the byline. Diaz always does that. The right side never does that. When was it? Someone told me the last time you seen Trent at the byline and I'll give you a tenner now, bro. It never happened, bro.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't go to the byline.
You say, Liverpool. Everyone says Liverpool's too predictable sometimes. Every team knows exactly what we do every single game. If you throw a guy the guess on, you haven't got a clue what this guy's going to do.
Yeah.
It makes us unpredictable. So why not give it a go sometimes?
I think we just got to, find like the ones that are playing well and actually give them the opportunity to go. Yeah. At least train with the squad and then, get to play them every get to play them in games, certain games. You got your tier 1s and your tier 2 games and stuff like that. Give them the opportunity to thrive because they are the future. They are the future. You know what I mean?
It's that same with Bashatic.
Yeah.
Why not throw him in some games?
This is the problem.
Yeah, he does seem like more like a Liverpool
He does.
He's in the squad now anyway. Like
the only problem is if they get that Moroccan DM, then this poor guy ain't gonna get the chances that he needs to get. This is the worry sometimes.
I give it a but I still believe he could still get his chance, even if we do bring in this other guy. There's still room in the team for him to get his chances.
Yeah, there's so many cup games. League Cup, and I mean the League Cup's going to finish soon because it's not that long of a tournament. We're in the quarterfinals now. But
the thing is, when we get knocked out of these tournaments, possibly, then where do these guys get their chances?
And that's what I was going to say to you. That's what I was going to say. Sometimes they just have to play in them games because you never know when you're going to get knocked out anyway. FA Cups starts from third round for the Prem teams. And yeah, man, sometimes I know what you mean though, because if you go to the first round and get knocked out, they ain't going to get as many chances. But it's still a bit more of a learning curve than not playing at all when you're playing against Oxford and these teams and try and beat them, move on. I think if you put the right amount of experience in the squad as a spine and then put these kids around them, which Klopp's pretty good at doing that, to be fair. Kelleher would play in anyway and is good enough to play in the first team anyway. That's when you play like Milner and people, and probably Gomez because he's not going to start. And then in midfield, you add somebody else there. I think you can do it, bro. But as I said, while Liverpool's not playing very good and we're not going for a league, it means that the League Cup and FA Cup's way more important. It's going to be way more important to Klopp anyway, because at the end of the day, it's still his job. He has to, you know what I mean? All pressure comes on him. If he doesn't win the FA Cup, doesn't win the League Cup, doesn't get top 4 and doesn't, you know what I mean? Then he doesn't do anything, bro. And it's pressure for him. So, and if people think that from the top, man ain't talking to him about like winning certain things. He has to do something. So it's a hard place to land at. But I just think people should be nicer about our younger players and give them a chance. No need to be so hard on them, because if you add up forget adding the number of games they've played, because it's not realistic. You need the minutes in which game did they come on. Because if you play for 10 minutes, it says you've had an appearance. You can't do nothing in 10 minutes, bro.
Well, then would McLowan have a Ballon d'Or to his name if he wasn't ever given a chance? Would Wayne Rooney be one of the best strikers England's ever produced if he wasn't given a chance?
Exactly.
They just grabbed it. This is
the
the
thing.
thing.
Everton on it, but you're right.
When you look at these teams like these Evertons and stuff like that, and no disrespect to them, I mean, like obviously they don't spend huge in transfer windows, so they rely on their youth.
Yeah.
And these guys, when they come and if they grab it, they grab that opportunity.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. This is the thing. They grab that opportunity, and I'm sure this Ben Doak, I'm sure he's got that mentality. He's when you look at our goalkeeper Kelleher, yes, Alisson is the one, but this guy, when he plays, apart from the 4-4 against Arsenal, he's never had a bad game.
Yeah,
he's taken his opportunity, but there's Ali there, But when Salah has these times where he's not, because there's been times Salah's been running into brick walls in games,
Salah's stinky sometimes, bro.
Yeah, that's it. And you know what? If this boy comes on, what's the problem? You know what I mean? And grabs it, because they know if they don't get their opportunity, they get their opportunities. Yeah, you need to grab it, and some of these actually do. Basic is another one. So we have got players. We just need to integrate them if we're not going to invest.
Yeah, guys. Echo. All right, let me come out and in.
Do you know? Just a quick question. Are we kind of underestimating how difficult it is to pick up on the system and tactics when we're thinking about bringing these new players in? Because there are games, you're dead right, where Salah's not good, Fabinho's not good, and what have you. But actually, they're left on the pitch not only because you've not got so many options to replace them with, but actually there's so much that you have to learn in this Klopp system with regards to pressing, triggers to press, positional sense, awareness, all these things that if you bring too many of the youngsters in, you lose so much of your tactics. And maybe that's why he kind of holds these players back for so long, because he can't afford to lose so much of the tactical side of things. Sometimes you can have too many wild cards, but again, this comes back to player availability. Like, these youngsters are going to get their best chance when actually most players are available, because if you're got most of our core players fit and playing, Liverpool will be winning games, so then they'll see minutes at the end of games and stuff. And look, when players are out and they're thrusted in, they're thrusted in with players that they've never played with before.
Exactly,
So,
bro.
You're expecting them to come in and like replace one player for one player and it'll be an improvement. Well, it won't, because actually they've got to learn and adapt and know what the other players are doing around them.
The thing is, the only way, sorry, Cav, the only way you adapt and you learn, all right, is actually getting put on the job. Now, the thing is, when they do come out from the under 23s and they train with the senior team, they are learning. And the thing is that they're learning, it has to be put on the pitch. And I know what you're saying, because with the tactics and stuff like that, and if you have too many of these youngsters that don't know the Klopp way, then it can be a problem. But they are learning. This is the thing. When you see them, they're doing head tennis or they're doing the intensity bit on that bits on the pitch. You've got strikers on this side of the pitch. Yeah. They are learning. It's the only thing is, it's just, are they going to get that chance to actually show what they've learned out there? And that is the thing for me.
I think they would have, but the trouble with this season's been that, like, you've got Fabinho out, or you've got Henderson out, or Thiago's out. So you're trying to put Bajcetic in, but he's playing alongside two other guys that don't play together.
No, but I meant generally speaking, not at this season. You're right, 100% on that. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to be learning if players are not playing, or injured. You're not going to learn from the Fabinhos and whatnot. But generally speaking, because as far as I'm concerned, it is alarming that there's not many players that do make it. There was a stat there, 6 players in 20 years. That's quite a big stat, man. For
I think that sounds worse than it is, bro. I'm not joking. I swear, bro. I can almost guarantee, if you take away the best teams in the league, the ones that are always challenging, and it's all the other teams that bring in all their youth because they have to. All the Crystal Palaces and that, bro, where they keep, if they're losing 6 games on a row, bro, there's for them it's like, we might as well try something because we're used to losing anyway. I think that there's an assumption that Klopp and Liverpool are doing something different to what the other teams ain't doing with their youth. But like, until my man just came in for Man U, the one who's ripping it up and keeping Sancho out of the squad, who came through apart from the one who's in prison, or the one who's been punching?
Hangeland? No, not Hangeland.
Hannibal.
Is it Hannibal?
Ganacho.
No, Ganacho's
the guy that's just come in. Yeah.
But who else? That's what I'm saying. If you can name it, this because I don't think
he came from Atletico Madrid anyway. He weren't really
exactly. Lingard ain't at Man U anymore, and you kind of done something. He didn't. You know what I mean? People spoke about him. Now everyone speaks about Curtis, so it ain't really nothing. Rashford, I named him already, so that's fair enough. Who else? There's no one. Walbert don't play for Man U anymore, bro. Like, there's a difference between coming through and doing something and not doing something at all, bro.
Do you know what it might be?
They come through and you move them on for a profit, and you go, they don't fit Liverpool's squad. Like, Nico Williams plays in the Premier League for a Premier League club. He did come through Liverpool, so it's not. Because remember, there used to be that thing about Mourinho when he wouldn't play youth players. Or I remember when Gerrard said in the Champions League when he was commentating, Man City, he said, Guardiola's messed up there because there's a spare space on the bench to put a young player in, and he didn't use anyone. He just said, I'll take less players. You've got Foden and Cole Palmer. No one can name anybody else, bro. So is Liverpool doing anything that different?
Rico Lewis.
Yeah?
Rico Lewis. He's a good right back on.
Yeah, it's true.
He is good. He is good. He's impressive. Can't lie.
But do you know what I think it might be is, like, we think about players coming through the youth system and breaking into the Liverpool team. What we're forgetting is Liverpool are one of the best teams in Europe. Like, what we're actually expecting is a player to come through the youth rank and become one of the best players in the world, because that's what it takes to get in.
Yeah.
I think where, like, part of my criticism's been is, like, there seems to be not many players coming through that are also going to, like, Premier League clubs. You mentioned Nico Williams, that you're dead right on that at Forest, but there's not too many others. So there seems to be like they either end up at like League One teams. I know we send a couple out to loan on Blackburn and stuff who are in the Championship. Like League One, they end up at like League One level, and then we obviously have like the Trent and Curtis that play a part in our first team. But there's nothing in between. Like, why are we not? If players aren't good enough to get into Liverpool side, that's totally understandable. Like I said, one of the best teams in Europe, but why aren't they able to get into like other Premier League teams? Why aren't they getting into
I think it's the fact I said it before. I know it sounds like I'm like trying to make excuses and that, but it's the location, bro.
Is it?
It's the location. Because as soon as everyone mentions mentions the greater academy players to me, I'll guarantee you're going to mention Chelsea to me straight away. Then you're going to mention Arsenal, and they're all in London.
South.
Yeah, it's a bigger pool to pick from. You know what I mean? Remember with the Liverpool thing, it's like, first of all them people already live in London, so they're just moving to a different part of London. These ones are moving up to Liverpool and starting changing their life around and stuff like that. So there should be a disparity anyway, just on stats that these teams should have a few more coming through. But a lot of the Arsenal players, and that, if you go and look through the Championship, you'll always see that it's like, this guy used to play for Arsenal. You've never seen him in your life, bro. There's a point when I remember Arsene Wenger had to get rid of like 12 players that we never heard of, and they're all spread around the Championship and League One and stuff like that. So I do think that's a part of it. And you know, if people want to talk about the past with Liverpool, well, we've not always been how FSG have made us now in terms of infrastructure and stuff. So there's pointless mention in the last 25 years plus and stuff like that. Because after the Gerrard era with Owen and that big gap on the Hicks and Gillette, they didn't give a shit about the youth, bro. Yeah. They didn't give a shit about any of that, any of the infrastructure. You know what I mean? Trust me, I know, because I was a kid in an academy at that time, and I chose not to go on any trials for Liverpool at the time, bro. They taught me out of it, bro. It was a shambles. It was a mess, bro. So you know what I mean? There's players. People should, and I employ everyone, man. When you got time and that, watch the youth games, bro. Don't just talk, innit? Don't just read Google and not check anything, bro. It's on Liverpool TV and that. Watch the youth games and that, man. You'll see there's some gems in there and that. And everyone forgets that youth teams do buy off each other, you know. Like, we don't get to the first team, then you get brought. We got Sterling off QPR. Like, that's how it works, isn't it? So, yeah, one of them.
But at the same point, if we don't give these guys a chance, like Ben Doak, we risk losing them to somebody else, and then maybe having to pay 60, 70, 80 million.
That's why we should be smart, bro. Back. If he doesn't play, put him on loan now, bro. I'm not joking.
Yeah, like, absolutely.
Depending on how his family is first, because he's 16 or he's just turned 17. Bro, send him to Germany, bro. Like, I think sending him out of the country is a better option than keeping him in League One, like what Cav said and that, because clearly the style of football's different, bro, and technically they're different. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I watched Bellingham in the Championship. He was, to be fair, he was doing up, man, at 16 then himself, yeah. But I bet if you ask him, he's going to say, I'm a way better player now because I moved to Germany, because I've got two different styles of football now. I know that Foden stayed in England, but you saw what players he was playing around, didn't it? David Silva's his favourite player. He was training with the first team, like, when he was really young. You know what I mean? So I think Micah Richards was talking about it, bro, and he left Man City ages ago. So there is a little bit of a difference, and they learn different things. And yeah, so you get better players, man. It's time to change.
I think even Foden said himself that David Silva,
yeah.
took him under his wing.
Yeah, and the academy's changing anyway, bro. I spoke to Ensman about this, but like they're teaching all the players to play the exact same football now. It's not like they don't want you to express yourself as much, bro.
Yeah.
So when you get someone like Doku who's clearly trying to do that, yeah, man, you got to keep him. So if it's sending him out on loan and letting him grow a little bit more and bringing him back when he's 18 or whatever, safe, because it's ours, isn't it? That's the best thing to do.
I don't think you can loan. Can you loan? You can't loan before 18, can you?
No, you can't. You can't.
Oh, you can't loan.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. I think you have to be 18 to be loaned out. But you're dead right on the point about going abroad. I prefer that option as well, because you're right on the stylistic football point of view, but actually just the personal point of view, growing up into an adult. You know, you can't really you can't mimic going abroad and having to take care of yourself on your ones, you know, and learning different cultures and ways of life and language and stuff. Certainly moving to another city comes with its challenges, but definitely moving abroad has even more. So you'll come back hopefully a better player, but you'll certainly come back a better man, you know, and you'll grow up a lot. And you carry that into having a professional career, definitely. I mean, you see it with Jude. You know, I know he's unique in terms of his mindset and what have you, but definitely moving over to Germany and
100%.
Hearing him speak over there and, you know, becoming a bit of a leader and stuff. That's why you have so much confidence in him coming back to the Premier League and being a success, is because of all the mental attributes that he's
This is mindset, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%, bro. 100%.
Mindset is always key with ability.
Yeah, I agree. And it's the hardest time for kids nowadays with their mindset, bro, because they're distracted by other stuff. Gerrard and that weren't distracted by like the Sun newspaper and that. Just don't read it. Well, they weren't reading it anyway, but now these lot can see everything. So moving away probably does help. You know what I'm saying?
You can't help but see it. But all these players, they're all have their Twitters, their Instagrams, and everything else.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, those different cultures. Like in Spain, they all go for like meals and stuff after games.
Yes.
You know what I mean? In England, people just going home. I mean, I know they said that Bale weren't interested. That was kind of funny. It's like, we're going for dinner, and Bell's like, I'm going to play golf. I'm not going with you, and that's why they didn't like him in it. But it does change you as a person, and that, bro. You know what I'm saying? And getting some, some German women and that. Don't know how many one, bro.
all the Liverpool players going on loan to Ajax. Coming back, real men. It's a great point, but I think all the youth system, I think we can maybe all agree, you know, it's like, it's all idealistic, isn't it? I think the main thing is that we want to see Liverpool winning. And unfortunately, it's a really difficult balance to strike, being so successful and bringing youngsters through. Because look at the teams that bring youngsters through. They're not at the very top, you know. Real Madrid don't have youngsters coming through, really, do they? You know, you've mentioned Man City, these teams are coming through, Dortmund and Ajax and stuff. These teams aren't competing.
Yeah, Cav, you got to remember as well, Barcelona and Real Madrid are sneaky what they do, bro, because they've got a fucking Barcelona B team, haven't they?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They've got all these bad boys in League One, bro.
Yeah,
right.
But there's nothing wrong. There's, you know, why can't we do things like that?
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, or it's Premier League, you know.
It looks like.
Sorry, so what you said about sending players out on loan to Germany, is that something that Liverpool have missed a trick on, especially what happened during Klopp at the club?
Maybe.
It depends what you've got in there, John, as well.
Yeah, I know, but we have a very good relationship where he has a very good relationship with Dortmund. Could Liverpool not sort something out between Dortmund where we'll send so many players over there on loan to gain that experience?
Yeah, but John, what I'll say is you're going to have, you're going to need players that they are interested in taking on loan. If you've got like a whole bunch of bang average players with certain potentials, they're not going to want that, innit? Yeah. I know what you're saying, but Dortmund, I think we do we not have a feeder club? I heard a few years ago, didn't we not have we struck a deal with someone in Belgium or something like that? I don't know.
It's not Club Brugge. It's Club Brugge. It's in the
that was Man United, I think, that one. But there was somewhere in Belgium. Yeah,
it's the Belgium league. Yeah.
I think we've unofficially got Blackburn now, haven't we?
Send
everyone there, don't we?
And obviously, on top of that, the kid has to want to go as well. And as much as me and Cav just said about experiencing different cultures, some people don't want to, bro. Yeah, I mean, some people are interested in learning another language, bro. So, and it is their choice at the end of the day. But
maybe that's telling, the point that Baz just raised. They've got to want the play. I mean, how many young Liverpool players are really getting into a Dortmund team?
Yeah,
that's it.
Do you know what I mean? Maybe they're going Blackburn and they're going to these teams purely because they're at that. That's the level they're at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Could be.
I mean, thing is though, usually if you are around this age as a footballer, the Championship is your level at that age, bro. And you kind of, you work around it a little bit because some of the Premier League players are Championship level. Remember they come up and get relegated straight away. There's a reason for that because some of them just can't cut it, bro. Or depending on circumstances with teams and stuff like that. But it's always going to be interesting. I just think there's only ever a few gems, man. I don't think we should be speaking as if there's normally flipping 10 gems in the squad, bro. So don't really happen, bro. So I remember, man, Mourinho wouldn't do, because that's what I said about when you're winning. Because when we was winning last season, I think all of us probably responsible for the same thing as the fans. But ain't nobody was whinging about youth coming through last season, bro, when they thought he was going to win 4 trophies. Man was just on it, bro. We were all in the momentum thing, let's just keep going and win the game. No one was like, well, while we're winning these games, should we go and get Morton and that to play? No one done that, bro.
Well, as we're chasing down Man City and you need to win every single game.
And I told you about the one game I did do when I went to the Liverpool game. And Klopp did play all of them. And they were terrible, bro. They were terrible. And then we had to change the whole team. Not the whole team. Had to put Naby on and Ox and Minamino in at half time. And then that's what I mean. As soon as you add a spine of a bit more experience, it's completely different. So Cav's right. You can't have where you change everybody. But I think if you have a squad, League Cup and FA Cup, I think out of the 11 on the pitch, 5 of them at least should be experienced players. They don't have to be starters for us. Because with everyone fit, Gomez doesn't start. So Gomez should be in that team. Milner shouldn't be starting if everyone's fit. Milner should be in that squad. Maybe Henderson as well. You know what I mean? And then whoever's attacking who wouldn't play. You know what I mean? And even if it's somebody who's a bad boy, but they weren't going to play. If Núñez is playing and Jota was going to be on the bench anyway, and they ain't got a game that weekend, you play Jota as well. And then we go win that, man. In fact, we did do that last season with some of the games in that. And we won the League Cup and the FA Cup. So not wrong with doing that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie's having connection problems.
You there, Jay?
Can you hear us?
It's on Pornhub.
That's John. That's John. All
Hey,
day long.
Weird now.
It looks like Jamie's on a different screen, bro.
Yeah.
I don't think Jamie knows where he is.
He's
Yeah.
not
You're
responding,
mute,
bro.
by the way,
Different
Jamie.
screen.
If you can hear us, if you can hear us, you're
He's
mute.
not even miming or nothing, bro.
I don't know what he's doing. But it's a good point you raised there, Savage. Like the youngsters actually did get us so far in the cup competitions last season. And you know what? Looking at the other end of the scale, Milner's always in them teams. Does that justify him continuing on beyond this season?
You already know how I think about Jimmy, bro. This guy's a bad boy.
Yeah. You talk about you got to have that blend of experience and youth in the side. Most of us will be creasing if we seen Salah in the early cut rounds or Nunes in there and stuff. So we need the likes of you.
I think Millie likes it as well because remember we were playing them youth games and he was just turning up anyway just to watch them. Millie likes it, man. So
I'd love for him to take like a player coach role.
I'll come back.
I don't know what happened there. Everything just went down.
Multi-universe or something, mate.
Everything just went down.
we were just watching. You look mad confused, bro.
Yeah, everything just went completely put on my whole computer just went down. I don't know why, but we're back. All I would want to do is just want to change it up a little bit. So January obviously is coming up, so transfers that everyone knows we need players and all that. So there is a question for you. So January transfers coming up. I'm looking at what we need, at this moment in time. Everyone in our midfield is fit apart from Arthur, and we only have 3 attackers. Do we need a striker or a winger more this January than a midfielder?
I think we need a winger if we at that, and then maybe a midfielder. Not maybe a midfielder. We definitely do need a midfielder.
Yeah, we need a midfielder and Zaha, bro.
If we can only buy one, though, then we're getting an attacker or a midfielder.
It's got to be a midfielder for me.
Yeah, got to be a midfielder, man. Our midfield gaps everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Although there's only one midfielder out injured at this moment in time.
You know why I say that, Cav? It's just because our history with injuries at the minute. I think we're capable up front or forward wise to bring. We can bring players in like your Doaks or your whatevers. Midfield is just aged a lot, and it just seems like when I think of our midfielders, I just think old and potential injury risks and stuff like that. Thiago's, you know what I mean, like Hendo's, players like that. I'm thinking, if 2 of them drop, you know what I mean, then we don't have anything. That's the only reason. It's just
because even saying one of them's injured now, that's it, bruv. Just by tomorrow, bruv.
There isn't a good quality midfielder in the youth that you can actually say you get on, you know what I mean? Whereas forwards-wise, I don't think it's as bad.
See, I mean, I totally agree. I think we need a midfielder, right? But I'm just trying to play, not devil's advocate, but just try and make an argument for why you'd get a forward instead of a midfielder. If we think about it, Henderson's available. Fabinho, Thiago, Bacecic, Ox, Naby. These guys are all available. Elliott, right?
Oh, that's true. When you put it like that, yeah.
They're all available. Okay. And whilst they're not trustworthy, take Naby out of that if you want to, take Ox out of that if you want to. What are the chances that them same players get injured in the second half of the season as they did in the first?
I mean, we are Liverpool, bro, so the chances are...
I know. And then I put to you that the forward line consists of Salah, Firmino, and Nunes.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
So whilst the midfielders have been untrustworthy in terms of fitness, at this moment in time, that's where the numbers are, And if you're thinking I've got midfielders available but untrustworthy, but I'm literally down to the bare bones in terms of our forwards, but they are trustworthy. So we think. We don't know about Nunes. Firmino, I mean, he had his injuries last season and he's going to have to play almost every game for us in Premier Champions League going forward. Which one's the bigger risk?
I think
I just worry
I would still go midfield, A reason why I go midfield is because of the age of it. the age is a lot more older than what the forward line is. And yeah, I get what you're saying, and you're right. I just think, you know, if we nurture them right, not nurture them, but if we look after them right, you know, our forwards don't really get injured that often. You know, Salah, I mean, you know, thank God he's like stayed away from major ones. You know what I mean? All right, Diaz has got an issue. Nunez is, you know, he's strong. He's going to play. Firmino, you know, he's had a lot of breaks because I mean, was he playing a lot last year? You know what I mean? It's like
injured quite a bit last year, which was his first season where he's actually been slightly unreliable.
Yeah, before last season, he was fit for flipping every game.
You say Nunez, but Nunez plays at 100 mile an hour every game, right? And before we broke up for the World Cup, he weren't playing full 90 minutes. He had a slight tightness in his hamstring. But
Nunez is definitely going to get sent off again this season.
Nunez, if not that, he is the type of player, because of his pace and because of how he plays the game. We've got to be really careful of him, because he's the type of guy that will pull a hamstring and be gone for a month. Like, that's the type of player that he is.
The thing is, has he actually started games? Sorry, Cav. I mean, you know, he's not started a lot of games, has he? Or he's come off benches a lot of the time. He's not really started for a good full 90 minutes. And sometimes that does help when, you know, has issues when it comes to injuries. You know what I mean? If you're not match fit and playing 90 minutes every so often, it does help you with your, you know, because he's young as well. He's still young and he's sort of still growing in some ways if you look at it, because, you know what I mean, he's big. He's like, you know, his body, he needs to have this exercise, and this exercise is constantly playing, you know, for a good amount, not obviously running to the ground, but that sometimes you can get injuries for things like that. You know what I mean?
Great point. I think the thing to add as well is, like, we do also then have Elliott, who can play in a forward position if need be. We do have Carvalho, but you know, I
think it's easier to answer if there was a choice between what midfield it was and what attacker. I'll be able to answer it much easier, because if the midfielder you're going to present to me is some average don, there's no point in it.
Yeah.
And if the person who you're going to bring in up top isn't going to inject some pace into the squad and isn't going to inject some kind of like technical ability where, you know what I mean? What's the point?
I think it's the DM we need most.
What? Okay, just going off the back of your point then, Savage. Just, you know, thinking about the players that we could get, what's an easier position in this January transfer window to get somebody in? Do you think there's a forward out there or a midfielder? You know, because I know we spoke about Amrabat, you know, and stuff like that, but you mentioned Zaha earlier.
Zaha's the one I'd go for, man.
Which one's actually?
He's in the last year of his contract. The only problem is I can't see like Vieira saying you can go out this weird on it, like the best player in January, bro. So
I think midfield is more realistic.
Midfield's more realistic because there's more of them. There's more of them around the world, I guess.
Forward are going to cost you a lot. They're going to cost you a lot.
I think the way Liverpool play, you need it sounds weird, but you probably need a little bit less than you from a midfielder in Liverpool system than you do for an attacker, if that makes any sense. Like,
no, I get you.
They just have to have this kind of, like, Klopp doesn't ask much of them in terms of output, so it's not like we're going to be looking for a guy who can score loads of goals from midfield. If they can, it's a bonus. But let's be honest, bro. Like, we're getting like 2 or 3 goals from each guy a season. So whereas it's an attacker, they're gonna, at the moment, which is unfortunate, but you're almost gonna have to replicate how Diaz was playing. The way Diaz makes us feel when he's playing football and injects into our squad, you're gonna have to do that. Otherwise, there's no point.
The bar is so much higher, dead right for forward. I think at this stage, we'll just be happy if someone stays fit and runs. If someone can stay fit and run across the pitch as a midfielder for Liverpool, we'll be satisfied.
I think so. Don't be surprised if they're going dip into the Championship, bro. I'm not joking.
What about testing sort of Palace's resolve on someone like Eze? Something like
they ain't gonna do that, bro. That's why I didn't mention him.
No, he's a brilliant player, but I
want him or Elise, bro.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, you know, like, people are talking about Amrabat, 35,
you are right,
40 million. I'm thinking, you know, like,
you do know that, like, whatever team Elise goes to in the future is gonna piss me off, bro. Because I just know it's not gonna be us, bro.
Got Arsenal all over him here.
Oh, bro, it's horrible, bro. This game is ruthless.
The
way I look at it, though, right? So Bobby's 31, and he's going to have to play at this moment in time. Diaz is out for the season. Well, that's basically say Diaz is out for the season. He's not meant to be back till late March, early April. Jota's back in January, but he's had 2 big injuries this season.
He's been training.
Yeah, he's in training, but he's back in January, which ain't far. It's almost Christmas on Christmas on Sunday, so it ain't far. So we got 4 attackers: Jota, Bobby, Salah, Darwin. If one of them get injured, we've only got 3, and we're going for Champions League, which means this team has to play. Klopp basically has to play his first and strongest team every single week. There's no time for rest because where we are in the league. All the midfielders are fit but one. Personally, I think we should get a forward in January instead of a midfielder. I just don't see. Even if we get a midfielder in January, and we're down to 3 strikers and a 31-year-old Bobby who can't keep playing every week, we're still going to have the same issue.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have the goal scoring, like scoring goals, but maybe be a bit leaky at the back till the end of the season, than shoring up the back but not scoring goals.
But ain't that what we've been doing anyway? Been leaky at the back and scoring goals. So our goal difference is we scored a lot of goals this season.
I think we've only scored 30 odd, but it's the last few weeks that we started picking up. I just think we get midfielders in the summer. I think they know their midfield targets. This is my thing. I think they know their midfield targets and they know who to get. Everyone's saying about Caicedo at Brighton. Caicedo's going to cost 70 million in January. Plus, Brighton are going to be looking at him thinking now, with the way McAllister performed at the World Cup, can Brighton afford to lose McAllister and Caicedo in the January and summer?
I don't think we'll even get him. I think he's going Chelsea, mate. I think he's going Chelsea.
Them two are going to be off for a lot of money. Bellingham's not available to the summer if they even do that deal. Enzo Fernandez won't be available to the summer if they want to do that deal. So I'm looking at it in the FSG way they would look at it, and the ownership would look at it, and Klopp looks at it. If Jude and Enzo, they're 2 big midfield targets, they're not available till the summer, then they're not buying a midfielder in January because they won't buy somebody who's going to get in the way of the 2 they really want in the summer. That is going back to why we didn't buy any decent centre-back when we needed centre-back reinforcements because they only wanted Konate. Because Konate was the one they wanted. They tried to get him in January, but because of the contract with Leipzig, because he was still in Champions League, they couldn't get him in January, so they had to wait till the summer. Hence why, as soon as the summer transfer window opened, Liverpool had the Konate deal done because that was already in the process of being done anyway. So if I'm looking at Enzo and Jude, are Liverpool's 2 top midfield targets in the summer, I don't see him getting a midfielder in January. With this now Diaz injury, I don't think we was buying anyone in January. I'll say that now. Before the Diaz injury, I don't think we're buying anyone in January. With the Diaz injury now, I think Liverpool are in the market for an attacker in January, and that's it.
I think you're right, Jamie, because we went into the start of this season with most people fit. Konate was out and one or 2 others, and they clearly thought that team was good enough to compete in for every competition. We're now back at a point now where it's only really Diaz and Jota that are both out, and they're probably in the same mindset where they're like, we've got all the players back available to us, some of them at, different levels of fitness or what have you. But from here on in, we think we can compete again as long as we keep them fit, which is not what we didn't manage to do in the first half of the season, plus the fact that, let's face it, the reason that we're in the, position we are in the league table at the minute is because the big guys have been terrible. Virgil's been bad. Trent's been bad. Fabinho's been bad. There ain't no way they're looking to replace these guys. They're just going to be banking on the fact that these guys are actually going to return to the form that we expect. And let's face it, if they do, we'll fly back up that table. So from FSG, Klopp's point of view, the club's point of view, they're not going to think that they're solving problems by signings at the minute. They've got the guys back available. They just need them to get back playing what they pay them for. Let's face it, Virgil's on big contract. You start playing like it, Fabinho the same, start playing like it. They'll be banking on keeping people fit and form coming back. So it's a good point on the midfield because they're available and they might only now dip into the market because they feel Diaz and Jota is a bit of a risk.
I don't think they'll think about Jota, but I think with the way Klopp spoke about when he found out Diaz was injured again, he looked a bit worried because Diaz is clearly a big part of his plans. I wouldn't rule out trying to get somebody on loan, bruv. Probably best for both parties, to be honest. You get someone on loan in that forward position. that way it's not messing anything up for whenever in the summer. And obviously if they're good enough, then you've done best of both worlds there, right? Because you're going for them. If not, send them back to where they came from, bro. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's the same as like how it was with Kabak and that, bro, but we did have them on loan and sent them back, bro. It's like, you're not good enough. Yeah, I mean, thanks for trying, but you weren't good enough. But at least in the attacking position, it's not as like it was lethal having somebody at the back who's not good, because it's just, you know what I mean, you're risking games at a time. But someone on loan, there might be somebody who's on the bench for someone who people think a lot about, just not getting any game time. Why not? Or it just might do it with both. But then again, they did it with Arthur already, and he was injured. I don't really want to make a joke about it and that, because clearly he didn't mean to be injured. It just happens, isn't it? So don't know.
I understand, but Attacker probably makes sense. But do we not need to look at Fabinho's position? Because Fabinho hasn't been great all season. He wasn't great. It wasn't the best last season either. He's really starting to worry me. I would maybe go get it. Someone to come in and challenge him.
Do you know what though, John? Like, I think they will hold fire on signing someone this January transfer window, because like we've seen with Robbo, when they're given that little bit of a break and a rest, you know, they go from being absolutely terrible and thinking you need to replace them to coming back and being, outstanding for us again. I think, they won't jump to sign a replacement just yet, because they'll think, okay, we've got another, half of the season to go. Let's just see how Fabinho gets on. He's been away with Brazil. I know he's been training and stuff, but he's not played a whole lot. Let's see how he responds now that the World Cup's out of the way and he's had that, not a break, but you know what I mean? He's not been playing.
But obviously, Klopp obviously felt that we need a midfielder. Else he wouldn't have signed Arthur Melo. Now, we all know that is obviously disaster of a signing. So we obviously still need something in midfield.
Yeah, it's back to what Jamie said though, isn't it? Jamie literally said that, like, if you got your targets ready for the summer, they're not going to sign another person now unless it's somebody to stay in the squad forever. And then it's looking around. Most clubs ain't going to try and release them kind of players in January. But yeah, I mean, it's one of them.
I think we do need to look at a forward, because I'm a little bit concerned. I don't know about you guys. Yeah, I mean, I look at certain things like creeping injuries and stuff like that. Now, obviously, I was a semi-pro back in the day. I had my injuries and whatnot, and I know what it's like for some of these players who've had certain injuries, because I've had them. I'm concerned about Jota, very concerned about Jota, and I'm a little bit worried about Diaz because of the positions they play and how quick they have to change movements and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a bit concerned about Jota at this moment first. I mean, I know we probably won't be looking to sign another striker or someone that plays in his position, but it's just me like thinking, you know what, we need to watch him. And Diaz in particular as well. I mean, Diaz's injury is ligament related. And the thing is, these players, they're having their injuries. They are literally trying to get fit. And before they're fit enough and the body's actually completely healed, they come back on and they get another injury. And just before the World Cup, I see Diaz was in Colombia shaking his ass, and no disrespect to him, you know what I mean, but there's a lot involved in it, and I am a bit concerned in the position he plays, where he can potentially be injury prone. Jota,
do you think though, like what I said about when I said about loan, because it's like trying to address that in January?
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Yeah, it's not
that's what I'm thinking. It's like
this is why, like a Saha would potentially be the perfect fix. And the thing is, you can even sell him on later. Like, if we do get someone next year or the year after, whatever, Saha is still a desirable player, and we'll definitely get rid of him. Like, there are going to be people that want him because he's a good player.
Yeah.
And yeah, he, for me, he brings a lot of tricks and he brings a lot of like possibilities up, forwardly.
Yeah, his biggest issue with the fact is that he's their best player on it. That's the biggest problem for someone.
There's no problem, but if we can tempt them, you know what I mean? I mean, he's at the end of his contract, you know what I mean? And when you think about his experience and what he can offer, and being in the Premier League and stuff like that, if we can tempt them, nothing silly, but if we offered something like 16 million or whatever, it's nothing these days.
I agree.
It's a loan fee.
I just think I agree what you mean with tempting them. I think, but I just when you think of where these teams are in the table and stuff like that, it's the difference between having Zaha is the difference between getting relegated. He scores all the goals.
For real.
So, and it's the same with like I see a few people that said Maddison. Me and Jamie's been champion Maddison for like 2 seasons, bro. But
he's brilliant
again. Look how they started to struggle at the beginning of the season. Look at the stats in the squad. He's got the best stats this season, and he had the best stats last season. Tell you, we'll take one of these players' best players. They're getting relegated, and I'm sure the managers know that, and the owners know it. There might be, it might not even be someone from this country. To be fair, it might be worth looking at in the positions where these people are, and then where around the country or outside who's on the bench for certain teams who are.
You know what the problem is? We need players not to kind of settled now. I know what you're saying. But we need someone that's ready made, at that's experienced enough and at a good price. Because right now we can't really afford. We're nearly halfway into a season. We need to like get going now. The likes of Nunes and stuff like that. Like you've had your settling period now and stuff. Van Dijk, you've had your World Cup. You know what I mean? Now you're going to start playing. If it was genuinely a, I don't want to get injured kind of thing. Fabinho with his situation, I've never seen the rumors of a speculation of the issues at home, but not too long ago, I just saw his missus like showing that she was pregnant and stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know, but this is like now, right? You need to get your asses together and just do something. And I think we will see something. We will see a better second half to the season, but we definitely do need something. And we definitely, in my opinion, to just keep it real, we do need maybe like a forward line on the left for sure. We definitely need someone in midfield, that is at a decent price that can just keep people on their toes. Like if your Firmino's have an issue or your Hendo's pick up an injury and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, how about what we said about what we think here? But going back to Cav's point from earlier, I think Klopp's going to think, and not just Klopp, the Klopp coach and staff, they're going to think more like what Cav said, bro. Like Harvey and that can play attacking as well. Carvalho can play attacking as well. They might not even get anyone, bro.
Yeah, and this is a problem. That's a negligence.
Harvey can play as the right winger, so if something happens to Salah or Salah needs to go into the centre, he can cover him there. And as much as a lot of Liverpool fans think that Carvalho looks a bit lost on the left, which is true.
Yeah,
it's a bit overreacted because he actually, if you look how many minutes he's played for Liverpool on the games, people are acting like they've seen him play their 10 games and he's been trashing all of them.
He's not been trash. He's been all right.
It's probably been like 2 games. And in minutes times, it's probably been about 46 minutes he's played on the left. But but realistically, the way Klopp's played and the way that he's changed the formation a few times this season, I know everyone's like, "Oh, now this person's fit. We're going to go back to the 4-3-3." But he might keep changing it, bro. It seemed like he went
against Milan. Against Milan, all right. We played at one stage of the game. We played a diamond, and we played
and then a 4-4-2.
We had Ox playing behind Firmino and whoever it was. I can't even remember. That's where Carvalho needs to play. That's where you're going to see the best of it. Otherwise, he's going to be a player that's going to have the potential, that did have the potential, but just become a bang average player because he's not. That's not his position. Yeah. When you watch him playing against big boys, for Fulham last year, he's playing in the position he knew, and he was brilliant.
Yeah, he was great.
I know Liverpool's
the link up with him and Mitrovic is what we want with him and Nunes.
Right, this is it. And why can that not happen? You know what I mean? He's a young, promising player. He's a young, promising striker as well. Yeah, they need to do this. If you play players out of position, they're not gonna do well. When I look at Harvey, for example, I love Harvey. Yeah, I'm not a Harvey out kind of guy. All right, but he's wasted in midfield. He's not. He's like a Rottweiler on a leash. He needs to be playing on the right wing if that's where he's going to be playing or whatever, because that's where you see the player that's made his name, playing in those positions, and you won't see that with Carvalho and him, and it worries me.
I gotta admit, right, I disagree with Elliot, and I know I'm probably the odd one out here. I think he is a midfielder. I don't think he's got enough pace, enough skill, or variety in his game to play on that right wing. Like a right winger now has to be a goal scorer, has to get assists. He has to be, unpredictable, kind of like Diaz is. I think that Elliott's best attributes is he receives the ball well. He's good on the half turn. He's good in tight areas. He can link the ball up well. I think that right-sided midfield position is perfect for him. I generally think it is. I think the reason that people think that that's not his position is because he's seeing Trent not play particularly well. So then we're being attacked by down that side so often. And I think if Trent was more of a traditional fullback, you probably wouldn't see the criticism half on Elliott like you do.
You wouldn't.
And when Elliott first broke into this team, actually, he started off really well, linking up with Salah and Trent, and there was so much variety. Like the triangle between them was.
Yeah, he kept Hendo up.
But we were leaking goals on the right. This is the problem. Him playing on the right. I get what you're saying, yeah, but in this system that we have, because Trent is always going to start on the right. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't do what a Hendo does. This is the problem. He's more forward thinking, all right, which is good, but he's not going to cover Trent. This is the problem. I mean, he will link up with Salah for sure, yeah, but you know, Trent's side is very vulnerable, and that's the reason why I think he shouldn't be playing on the right.
I think the problem might be, you know, that Fab's been off form at the same time as that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think that might be, you know, I think like to ask anybody to. It sounds crazy because it's a system-based game and that, but
yeah,
what Hendo does for Trent a lot of the time, it's like above and beyond what everyone would normally do. So when even Harvey does it at the proper level, it looks like he's not doing enough. Mm-hmm. Whereas a lot of the time, it's just that, you know, Trent's just gone gun-ho. And to be fair to Trent, a lot of that must be instruction as well. But you can always tell when Trent goes off doing his own thing and that, because normally he doesn't make it back. As you mentioned in the England game, and he started to do it before we finished to come back, he started to not go as far forward anymore.
Yeah,
I think he's realised a little bit more, which is a great thing for him to learn. Like, yo, if I'm going to have to make the right pass now because I can't keep doing this and not getting back and defending.
It is, but then we lose a bit out of him, and that's the thing, innit, though, Sav?
Yeah, but the way the season's going at the moment, I would much rather lose a bit of the creativity from Trent going forward than what's been happening on that right-hand side, only because other managers are literally targeting that from the start of the game. It's not like organically happening. I know they're in the change room going, listen, we know what we're going to do. Rashford over there, bro. Martinelli over there. And even if Trent does well, he's so occupied with these players and stuff like that. I think when Hendo covers Trent, then Fab pushes across and covers that space. Fab's not very good in it, so when he just sticks his foot out and doesn't get it, you run past him. It's open to the defense.
Is that why maybe does that not explain why we need a DM more than anything else?
Maybe, I don't think the coaching staff
Trent that help.
Yeah, I just don't think the coaching staff give up on players as much as the fans do. So if we think bad stuff,
not giving up on Fab, but
no, not giving up on him. But you see how Cav said that, like, now that we've come back from the World Cup and stuff like that, we'll see what's going to happen. I think they're thinking more like that. And then if he gets to the rest of the season and he's still playing the same, then they look at, okay, we're definitely going to do this now instead of doing it in January. And I know we would all like to, as soon as you see a problem, let's fix it, because that's job of a manager. But the way managers do it is we need to find the solutions within straight away, unless you're a club that is spending money. Like, if you watch Guardiola, and I think he's the best. I think he's the best manager. You know what I mean, coaching wise and that. But he at Man City under his tenure there, when there's a problem needs to be fixed, this man ain't trying to solve it within at all, bruv. He's like, yo, 50 mil, go get this done, bruv. People forget like the price that people like Ake and that came from, bruv. He's like, get this, and when it doesn't work, he's like, just get me another one. just get me another one quickly, because I'm not doing this, bro. Joe Hart's not working. Just get me another goalkeeper, bro, because I can't wait. Whereas Klopp is like, well, we'll have to wait for Millionaire to finish this season, and we'll try and find a new goalkeeper. And that's the difference between the two clubs. I don't think that's so much the managers. I think it's just one manager has owners that it is like, it's almost like toy money to them. Like, just get as long as we have FFP rules, let's get it. And everyone's thinking a little bit different, man. So interesting.
But after this season, if we don't fix that issue and we do just sit there and hope that Fab does start to improve and get back to his best, then we're risking a lot. We're risking Champions League football, and I don't think that's a risk that Liverpool can afford to take.
Do you think that the managers feel like that as well, though, or they just think it's form? Because professionals will put that down to form, and fans will be like, "He's done out here," but managers are like, "Nah, it's form," because it's not just Fab. That's the problem. And if it was just Fab and it was an outlier in the squad, he would stick out like a sore thumb. But they could just be like, well, if he's off form, Virgil's off form, this guy's off form, Trent's off form, why is it Fab that we're replacing when all of them seem to be off form? Yeah. So it's a weird one. But you could be right, though. You know what I mean? No one's right or wrong, because we don't know how the managers think. But
I think
Yeah.
What we've got to do is separate the Trent and the clear and obvious, weakness in our side down that right side of the pitch with Fabinho, because we always talk about a midfielder having to cover Trent. The best cover for Trent is Trent being better.
Yeah.
Like Trent, we look at Thiago on that left side, right? And we say that he's so good at getting back and he does that tackle from like behind the player and wraps his leg around and stuff. It's crazy how he does it, and he's tenacious and all these things. But he doesn't really need to cover Robbo, because Robbo is so good at picking his timing.
Yeah, agreed.
He'll play the pass when he needs to. He'll get forward when he needs to. He'll press when he needs to. And he'll run back. Trent plays so different. Trent has been wandering up into centre-forward positions in this team at times, and he has no reason to be there. Like, you can't justify that. You can't cover for that. Do you know what I mean? And if you do cover for that through having a right-sided midfielder or the defensive midfielder coming across, then there's suddenly holes in other areas of your team. Fabinho needs to be better. You're dead right. He's been bypassed way too easier in that midfield. Okay, and he's not shielded the defense well enough. But actually, the main threat in our team is down that right side, and Trent needs to be better. Trent, for me, does all his best work from that deep right position.
I think so too.
I don't want him wandering into like a number 10 position or a number 9 position or going beyond the strikers and these kind of madnesses. Like, it's great that they're forward thinking and how they can reinvent the game, but actually you were the best in the world at doing, what you did at that right-sided position. If he can be more disciplined and actually track back and run, which is the very basics of football and defending, then we're going to look at this DM and this right-sided midfielder position so differently. Yeah,
because that floating thing's new what he does. It's not like a thing what he's been doing since he's been there. Like, and the worst thing about it is, if he was successful from that position every time he floated in, the conversation might be a little bit different. You're like, okay, the good outweighs the bad. Bruv, I don't know what he's done from that position. Honestly, like, you just see him there, and
one time, remember Burnley where the ball went Virgil to Elliott inside to Trent, and he flicked around the corner. That is literally the only time that Trent has been good in that position.
Yeah.
Okay, hit a rocket against
where
Newcastle.
Everything's come from.
Yeah, exactly. He's the best playmaker in that position in world football for me.
Our left and right side's always been completely opposite from each other, and it seems, and it's weird.
Yeah, do you know why? This is what I look at, right? So we just watched the World Cup. We just watched France get to the World Cup final, yeah? Right? What side of the pitch did every team go up against France on? Mbappe's side. Yeah, Hernandez and Mbappe's side. No one's calling Hernandez a shit fullback, but everyone went on his side. Yeah, Mbappe don't come back
at all.
He does more for PSG.
Yeah, Mo don't track back. Right.
Yeah.
When you look at everyone goes on about Robbo and Trent and all that. Yeah. The thing about the beauty of what Mane gave you on that left hand side is he tracked back like a machine with Robbo. Yeah. He always tracked back. That's why I think Jamie Carragher called him the best defender in our front line. His defensive work was out of this world. He got back into areas of the pitch to cut out the passing lanes. Yeah,
that's facts. Because Diaz does it as well, bro.
Salah doesn't track back.
Even
Diaz
Nunes does it,
well.
bro. I've seen Nunes tracking back and
that
centre back.
They cover their passing lanes in that area of the pitch, right? Mo doesn't cover. Mo doesn't get back and cover the passing lanes in that area of the pitch for Trent. So it's a side where everyone goes, look, we know Salah doesn't really get back that much. He likes to stay forward and do his thing at the other end, which leaves that area of the team exposed because we play a 4-3-3. So that means if you can shift their midfielders about, you can get in that area of the pitch and really attack their fullback. Now, Trent ain't the best defender in the world. We all know that. So I've been watching a World Cup with France, one of the best teams in the world, and a great fullback in Hernandez. Try and get exposed a lot because everyone went down that side because Mbappe doesn't cover the passing lanes. He doesn't get back. So I think we all got to stop at saying it's always Trent this, Trent that, Trent this, or Hendo not covering him. If your fullback isn't getting cover from the player in front of you, you'll always be exposed. And Mo don't do that now because Mo doesn't want to do that because a bit like Mbappe.
Mo's funny, but he pretends to. Mo pretends to track back with.
He comes alive when he's got the ball in around goal. And to be fair, that's where I want Mo. I don't really want Mo tracking back. Not now he's 30. I don't want him overused. So I want him there. So that means, again, you're looking at a midfield where you can't leave your fullback exposed. The way we play in a 4-3-3, we play high risk, high reward football under Jurgen Klopp. We don't play a deep line 4-3-3. We actually, we play with a lot of freedom. That is why every team we play against gets chances, because that's the way we play. Jurgen ain't going to stop that. So you can't always blame Trent for it. Robbo's a naturally better defender.
I think that you and Cav, I think two things can be right at the same time. I think Salah don't track back and Trent doesn't defend properly. And the problem with both of them is, I know they both can. I know it's a choice, because what Salah does is, watch any replay back of when something's happening on that side. When he gets to the halfway line, he starts jogging and then he stops, and he just that's it. It's all done for him now. That's why you never see him in the box. And you guys tell me that every game, forget how bad you think Nunes is on the ball, bro. I've watched this man trap back from striker position, slide tackle somebody, and run back up the pitch, bro. Robbo always does it. So when it goes wrong for Robbo, there's a reason why everyone remembers it. Because
Robbo's got better stamina, though.
Why do you think in the Champions League everyone's like, Robbo was out of position and Modric caught him? Because you're not used to Robbo being out of position. That's why.
Hang on, I just got to answer this.
So it is like, I don't know. And the pressing's not the best anymore at the top of the pitch. You need the press starts off everything, can it? So,
yeah, the press at the top starts it all. That's why the last two games of the season against Tottenham and Southampton were our best games, because Darwin, Bobby and Salah played up front and they're pressing machines. Now, what are you guys watching? Salah for past years tracks back all the time. We have Mo tracks back all the time. Why are we always exposed on that right-hand side? Can we stop?
To be fair, everyone's saying that it does. I think you like getting confused with what I'm saying, bro. I'm not.
We're not saying
it's tracking back, and the tracking back with intent to do
areas.
Something.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I mean, bro. Some people run around like headless chickens and that. I mean,
there's tracking back and getting into areas.
Yeah, you don't remember people you said that Minamino just used to run around, bro. But no one. So if I went, Minamino doesn't run, he doesn't press properly. Everyone's like, I see him run around all the time. I'm like, okay, but there was no intent behind it, bro. Like if Salah tracks back just to jog next to a player and doesn't try and tackle him, then it was pointless.
Yeah,
it was pointless. You might as well have stayed where you are. If Trent goes in for a tackle and slyly puts his foot there, and like he did try and tackle him, well, no, he didn't. He just ran next to him and done nothing, bro. There has to be intent behind what you're doing, bro.
If your winger's tracking back here and he's level with your fullback, that's not good.
Yeah.
I don't want that, because there's shitloads of gaps in between everyone.
And of course, we're not saying all the time, but it's just the majority of the time, bro.
To cover. Yeah. So if your fullback's here and Salah's going here, well, that's pointless, because you're leaving all this area free. You want to get in a position where you cover. So when everyone's seeing his tracking back and they see Mo back in his final third outside the box doing defending work, it's not really when I want to see him, because I want to see him covering. So it's getting into passing lanes, area on the pitch, guys, that cuts out that pass. So if Mo's, say, 15 yards in front of Trent, right? So someone's got the ball in midfield. They can't really get the player a pass in between Salah and Trent, because Salah's covering that area. So Trent's not exposed. So that pass can't come across. Yeah. If Salah's level with Trent, that pass can come across. That's not covering. Yeah. That's just running back into a position.
It's just the difference. It's just the intent, bro. Like, we know what we're not talking about all the time, innit? But we're talking about the majority of what we're talking. And it's like, sometimes I see it with the pressing, innit? Our pressing used to be the best in the game, or out of any other team in the world, bro. And of course, the older players they press a little bit less, bro, because it's more taxing on the legs, innit? It's why Haaland doesn't press, bro, because he doesn't need to. He's like, I'll just chill, I'll get the ball in a minute. But like, sometimes, I don't know if you guys have ever seen, like, if you watch Bobby sometimes, I'm like, you might as well have just stayed in one spot, bro, because the pressing you just done, bro, you jogged up to this guy at the slowest speed possible, and then when you got to him, he just passed it away. There was no intent behind it. Now, if you see Vardy press somebody on the ball, you're worried on it, because he might get to you, bro. Like, he might take it off your goalkeeper's foot. The way, like, you know, Alisson will mess around on the ball because he's really good on. If Bobby was on the other team running at Alisson, I'd be like, Alisson, just chill, bro. Just relax. Whereas if somebody who's intent to get the ball is doing it, sometimes our press is like, we know Klopp's watching and we know he told us to do this, so let's pretend like we're doing it so we don't get told off. But bro, trust me, I know people used to do that in football when I played, bro. So you know what I mean? Everyone's got faults in the game, so when people, everyone don't have to get all defensive of our players and that. We're all Liverpool fans, but You know what I mean? I can bring up examples of it. You just get copyrighted. So, but it's what it is, bro.
Exactly. I mean, I think tracking back is like I say, when people see, and I'm not saying Mo don't track back. He does in occasions, like everyone says. He does track back, but in moments. Well, that's the reason we get exposed.
Yeah.
Because that's that moment, you know. And if he's up, you know, and people say there's stats of him tracking back, yeah, because he's running backwards towards our own goal. That's called a stat. Yeah, so he's running backwards.
The stats can't show what he's done when he got there.
In position to cut out the pass and stop your defender getting exposed. You know what I mean? There's tracking back and there's, you know, doing it.
What Cav said, man. When you see Thiago, bro, this man looks like he wants to kill you to get the ball back. That's why he gives away so many fouls, because you're like, he does this thing where he climbs up the tall person's back and that to get the ball. And then he acts like he never fouled them. And I watched Diaz do it as well. Remember, we used to watch Diaz at the beginning of the season, was like, I think this guy's legs might fall off if he keeps running like this. Yeah. And obviously he got injured by somebody injuring him, but at the same time, he's like, if he's gonna run himself into the ground because he's so intent of like, I need to get the ball back. Mane was on that as well. Nothing wrong with it, man. Listen, they've all got deficiencies and stuff, but if we're going to try and honestly analyze a game and where we're going wrong in some spots, it's fair for us to say that is a problem, bro. Just like sometimes people are like positioning of some people ain't the best, or Nunes on the ball ain't the best at doing this. We got to play to our strengths in it. That's the main thing, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think towards the final few games that we played before the World Cup, it looked as though there was Trent had been instructed to be a bit more disciplined in his positioning. And the reason people were saying Salah was tracking back, I think he was a little bit towards the end, but I think that was more acceptance that the press wasn't working and we didn't have players fit and available to continue with that style. And so when we needed to sit back, I think there was a clear instruction to the likes of Salah and Nunes and stuff that, look, no, this is defensive mode now, that you guys have got to work hard. Might be temporary, you know, when guys come back and are fit, available, we'll go back to high press, and you won't have to come back because it'll all be trying to win the ball back in the upper echelons of the pitch. But for now, we need to do that. So, but I think the moments prior to that, looking back to last season, I think Salah, when he's tracked back, it's not instinctual. It's kind of when he sees that there's a clear threat, and then he sprints, and we all sit there and go, oh, that's fantastic. Like, we've just seen our forward, like, best player in the squad, like, track back and defend. But you know that he's reacting to the situation because he drops his head when he does it.
Like a sprinter, and he puts his head down, stop doing
it. Like, it's not the fact that it's like, oh, this is the system. I need to be back there now in this position to cut the passing lanes, like Jamie described, and or cover Trent if he's doubled up on and stuff. That's not how he's thinking. He only really tracks back when he clearly sees that there's a threat there and a counter attack. And then even then, it's like, you know, 50-50 whether he goes or not. So, but like I say, you know, if Liverpool, it's clear that Klopp's system is to press and win second balls. He might not need to track back as long as the rest of the team are doing what they should.
I think you're right, man. I think it's just you know what it is. It's just changing your mindset from the fact of playing how you normally play when Liverpool's on top, to losing players and having to do a little bit more. And some people are so stuck in the way they play. It's not their fault. It happens, isn't it? But it's like, oh, yeah, shit, I need to do more now. Whereas when these guys weren't injured, I could do this. And that's what I see from Trent sometimes. That's why we'll notice him not running back now, because everything looks bad in the squad and there's gaps everywhere. So you need to do a little bit more. Anyone who shows a lack of effort, we can see a mile off, because we'll see somebody else doing the same thing on the other side of the pitch, man. But 60's comment killed me, Sterling. Wait, Jamie,
That is a brilliant.
Oh, I know. When you just bring your knees in a little bit.
Oh, mate. Every time you put your feet up on the recliner chair, somebody comes back to get past them. Now, like, fuck you, man.
It's just the Trent thing will go on forever, and the midfielder stuff. And I just feel like if Diaz didn't get injured, I don't think we buy anyone this January. I really don't. And with the Diaz injury now, you can't. I don't think we can go with just 4 forwards till the end of the season. And I think they got to look at someone and just make do with the midfield. I think what they would have done maybe is just do a signature for a midfielder that gets done in the summer, sort of thing. But I think they get a forward in. But guys, we're going to leave it there because we've gone over 2 hours. I want to try and get these shows for 2 hours. Otherwise, we'll go on forever. But guys, big up for everyone joining me today. I do appreciate it. And I'm back tomorrow night, John. If you can join me then for the Liverpool Man City preview, you can have your Ben Doak speech then.
Cav, you any good at quizzes, bro? Just ask me.
I watched that quiz last night.
Here we go.
Yeah, everyone check out Ensman TV. He does some brilliant quizzes. Monday nights, I think they are. Savage Baz and I were on yesterday, and it was great fun. So check that out.
So yeah, go and check that out, guys. And I'll be back at 10 p.m. tomorrow for the Man City preview for the Carabao Cup on Thursday, and then the watch along on Thursday. So guys, make sure you go and leave a like on that video. Now the thumbnail's all done, the video's waiting, so go and check that out right now. Actually, you'll be taken to that as soon as this video's in, so leave a like on that straight away. Sets the algorithm up massively. So big up to everyone. Thank you for joining me, and the guys do appreciate it, and we'll see you tomorrow.